agenda meeting next time. Thank you.
And let's go to closed session. Rick.
No biggies. How about
Anybody on public closed session items? Bring it back to the board. Let's go to closed session.
Okay, Chairman, I'll read these items into the record, and I'd like to note that the City of Chowchilla versus the County of Madera existing litigation will be moved to the next board meeting. Sorry, I'd like to...
Our speakers are dead, I think.
I'd like to note that the existing litigation, the City of Chowchilla versus the County of Madera, will get moved to the next Board of Supervisors meeting, so that will not be discussed in closed session. Today there are 3 items: labor negotiations pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. The county negotiators are Adrian Caleb, and the employee organization are all units. Public employee performance evaluations pursuant to Government Code Section 54957. The title of the position is a county administrative officer, and there's 1 existing litigation matter pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9, subsection D1, Mark Sobel versus the County of Madera.
Thank you. Let's go to closed session.
how you doing? Going forward with actually about doing a meeting process. Yes, I did. We got to start with it. We'll find out. It's meter and pipeline fail. Meter and pipeline replacement, which can get to $5 million.
Yes, Chairman, members of the board, there's 1 item to report from closed session, and it's 2D as in dog, the existing litigation Mark Sobel versus the County of Madera, on a motion by Supervisor Wheeler, seconded by Supervisor Frazier, and a vote in favor by the 4 present supervisors, the Chairman Farinelli, Supervisor Rodriguez, Supervisor Wheeler, and Supervisor Frazier, Supervisor Rogers being absent. There was a vote in favor to enter into a settlement and mutual release agreement with Mr. Sobel to settle this litigation. And the settlement agreement will be available with the clerk of the board's office if anyone from the public requests a copy.
We'll have our invocation, and then we'll have our pledge, and then Jane Ritz will follow the pledge with singing the national anthem for us.
Where's your microphone?
Can't hear it anyway. Please stand. Hey, Randy.
Yeah. Heavenly Father, we come before you on this beautiful morning, anticipating heat later this day. We recognize that has 2 sides to it. For some, it brings encumbrance, difficulties. For others, it brings good result in farming. So we ask, Father, that you would just superintend all that is accomplished with that. You'll protect people from the heat, and you'll continue to grow our crops. We thank you for the business that's going to be accomplished this day for each of the supervisors. We ask that you would give them your wisdom, that their decisions will hold great pleasure with you. We continue to pray, Father, for those clear across the country in Orlando. As there's a recovery going on, there are lives that have been disrupted. There are families that are grieving. There are those that have been wounded that still need to be restored. And so we pray, Father, for the very best to come out of that. We ask, Lord God, that you would take care of our people throughout our county, protect them this day. And at the end of the day, may we recognize that we've lived unto your glory. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Before we have the Pledge of Allegiance, is there anybody would like to say anything about?
I wanted to say something about Mary Myers. She worked for the county as a librarian in Norfolk for I don't know how many years, probably 20 or 25. And she was also one of the Norfolk Citizens of the Year, one of the early ones, because of all the stuff she did for the kids and stuff at the library and stuff. So she was 92 years old. She led a great life, and her husband worked over at the mill with my dad, and they were both members of really great people of Norfolk. Thank you.
Good. Anybody? Okay. I'd like to say one thing about Lloyd Whitaker. If everybody knew Lloyd, he was a salty guy, and very, very forward in all of his thinking. Met Lloyd when his two daughters were playing on my soccer team a long time ago, and that's when we won a rec team, won 7-Up Cup in California. So Lloyd was a great help in that, organizing the teams and stuff like that, and he's quite a guy. So anyway, thank you.
Sorry, I see one that I didn't realize until right now, but Frankie Sue Torok was the mother of a friend of mine, Shondor, and Zolti Torok. Zoltan actually worked for our public health department before moving to Colorado this last year, but just lost to their family.
Okay, very good. Molly, could you come up and give us the pledge? And then sing us the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Wow. Woo! Can you say the Pledge of Allegiance for us too, please? Please join Molly in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ready? Salute. America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Fantastic. Thank you, Molly.
Thank you very much.
Go to consent calendar.
No question.
No questions? Come on. Write this down.
You're doing a better job.
Write this down in the day of history. No questions from anybody up here? Any questions from the public? Actually, I have some questions. The one I have is on the public defender. We just approved a couple weeks ago or last time money for the public defender. Now we're increasing it, and I'd like to have a answer on that. And that is, which one is that?
Item K.
Which one is it?
Good morning, Nicole Desmond, County Administration.
Okay.
Yes, in May, we did bring a transfer of appropriations of $150,000. At that time, that was our best estimate that would get us through the rest of the fiscal year. However, all of that money has been expended due to unanticipated costs related to special circumstance cases that we have no control over. Those are murder cases that are filed special circumstance by the district attorney, and we had 4 since then. And what happens is we have to make payments to the outside public defense attorneys when the case is first assigned, and provide ancillary fees that go into a trust if they request it. And the judges set the case amounts, and we're bound by the contract to pay it. So we are at, right now, we have about $70,000 in bills that we cannot pay, and we're hoping that this will be enough to get us through the next 3 weeks.
Okay. The reason I bring this up, we keep on bringing this up, Prop 47 was supposed to basically, again, help this matter, and cases were supposed to come down, and because we'd be negotiating instead of putting people through the trials and stuff, and, you know, and it looks like it's not happening, and we know it's not happening in the state, and the budget on Prop 47 is absolutely going crazy. So
the fees that we're seeing related to these cases are due to the type of cases that are being filed. Right. So they're special circumstance murder cases where maybe there's some gang involvement or drugs or some type of multi-defendants, and also higher level felonies that don't fit within the criteria of Prop 47.
Okay. Thank you. Any other, Brett?
On AP, I think it'd probably be Ahmad. Good morning. Just wanted to get, we're doing a $27,000 cash flow loan to MD95. You know, obviously in our special districts budget, we had something like $6,000–7,000 budgeted for PG&E. How much has that actually ran? Why are we over by $27,000 from what our estimate was last year in the special districts budget?
Good morning, Supervisor, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Ahmad Al-Kayat, Public Works Director. This item is one of many that are in front of you today at the board, and we're doing transfer of monies or a short-term loan from DIGS to basically fund cash flow problems for each district due to the assessments not covering the actual cost of maintaining and operating these systems. As far as your specifics of $7,000 from which funds, I don't have this detail on me right now, but I can get it to you. Unless, I don't know, Andrea, do you know if, do you have anything to add to MD95?
The real question, what, you know, when we passed the special districts budget, this is just for clarification.
Correct.
For everybody.
Correct.
We're off by this much, you know, I mean, this is almost double what the annual operating budget is for them total. So why were we off so far?
Later on today, item AM, actually in the consent item, item AM, you will see basically a receipt of anticipated revenue for $179,000, which includes MD95 West. And the reason we're doing this is due to the shortfall cash flow. And basically what we're trying to do is this is a short-term solution until, for a temporary solution, basically, for all the districts that have a shortfall. And the reason for the shortfall is we are not collecting the proper.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Correct.
There's not enough revenue.
Absolutely.
To pay for the
Correct. The rates that are paid are not covering our maintenance and ops and capital improvements when needed.
Perfect.
And what we're doing here is just a short, but the good news is
So we have to
this
do this
week.
because the rates are not
Correct,
enough.
which is we're working on. So.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, stay on up there. AM through AS. I want
Yes.
an explanation on that because I think the public needs to be aware of that. And I have some questions on it.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board. Norman Allender, Chief of Development Services. What's going on here is also a change the way we work with the auditor's office. So in the past, partly the budgets, when you budget, you have to budget based on what revenue you have projected, not based on what necessarily, because these are special districts and they have certain things. What has happened in the past is when you have had issues when they do shortfalls, things were handled through journal entries and money was moved back and forth to make things work. In conjunction with the auditor's office, we have said we will book these individually and they will come to the board so that the board and the public knows how much these things are actually negative. So we've kind of changed the way we're accounting that. Really came out of Todd Miller's office. We want to thank him for that. But it's a way that we're adjusting our accounting instead of end of the year. That's why you see a little more appropriation changes. Instead of doing all these journal entries back and forth, we've gone to a different process with the auditor's office. We think is more transparent. We do think is better. So.
The question, Norm, is the RFP deadlines on the consultant.
Yeah, so we do have one it's a very elaborate one. We expect to have it out very soon to do that work, and we haven't stopped doing work. There are a handful of districts where there are changes going on. Primarily, the district themselves are pushing us into the changes. So, but yes, the broader one. I'm pushing to get it done, as is I believe the CAO's office, so that we can get a broader picture of how we can solve these issues. And so, but this is one step we're taking internally. We're not just going to say it's an issue and we're not going to do anything. We're going to continue to make the internal changes we can to make sure the public understands and everybody understands where we are with this.
So are we going to stop having like a shoebox of IOUs at the end of the year, which is basically?
Actually, no. It is a spreadsheet. It isn't a shoebox, but it is on a spreadsheet. But yeah, it is. I mean, it's complex when you're trying to shovel money around in a situation, and you've seen the commercials where money's a different color. Well, the money's a different color in some of these districts, and there are restrictions. And I think that what the auditor's office has come up with gives a whole lot more of the public an idea of what's going on.
Yeah, I'm very happy with where we're going.
One more question, Norm. What actions are being prepared to be self-sustainable rate on that? Is that through the audit process?
All options. I mean, with some we're working on now through this RFP, we'll have more of a financial and an engineering approach of what needs to be done. And it's through just working individually with the districts and sort of letting them understand and helping them understand what it is can happen with the resources they have. So, yes, we're doing all those things, but I think the bigger picture is to take a broader look at it, and that's what we're working on for the long term. Yes, sir.
Well, that just shows what a team we have here at the county, that we're looking at things that, I mean, when I first came on, we had fees that weren't paid, $495,000 since 1995. Appreciate you guys working with the audit department and getting that cleaned up. Thank you.
Yeah, my question.
Yeah, nothing's working.
Yeah. I just wanted to tell you guys that all the special districts, most of them are in my district, 120 of them, and they really appreciate now that they can have a really number that's true. Because before, we'd have one meeting one month, and we'd have all these numbers. The next meeting we'd have the next month. It was, well, what happened to that $1 million? Well, the auditor said it went there. And it was crazy. I mean, it was totally upside down. So it's just nice that you guys are all working together and coming with them together.
I've lost a lot of hair based on special districts because they've been so all over the place. But I think you're really starting to narrow it in, and it's no wonder why there's a lack of trust because when you look at it, you can't tell what it is.
Yeah, you couldn't even. They'd ask me. I don't know what that means.
Are we good or no? I don't know.
Yeah.
But we're starting to understand it a lot better, and it's a testament to the hard work that you guys are doing. So
if the public don't know, we got about 140 districts in Madera County, and 120 of them are in District 5. So, just so people know.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. Out to the public. Seeing no questions,
Yep,
bring it
we got
back to
one. Mr. Purcell.
Morning, Bill.
Are all these districts private owned?
County operated.
They're owned by the district, but we oversee them and run them. Some of them are in our name, but some of them aren't, Bill.
Well, I guess my question is, well, you were saying they're not private owned. I thought whenever these districts are formed, weren't they formed by the contractor that built the tracks and whatever?
Right, the developer.
The people took over the bills for their water and whatever, but now the county's having to pick up the tab, looks like.
Well, no, we're not. The citizens in each one of those districts got to do it. That's reading that these numbers here today, is because those citizens got to pay and have that increased, so they're paying what they spent, so that they're not spending our public tax dollars.
In other words, none of the tax money's going into these districts.
Well, it was for a while, but
Yeah,
we've put a halt to it.
That's what we're trying to stop the
Correct.
hemorrhaging. There was a lack of rate increases that never kept up with the actual cost of getting the water or sewer to the
Roads or whatever it was.
And so there was some. It looks like there was some.
Well, what I'm saying, it was supposed to have been taken care of when they were built by the contractor, and they loaded whatever in. But apparently, when they start running short on water or whatever, then the county steps in to help them out, I guess.
Well, we do, but it's with their money.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the thing we've been trying to correct. If you remember about 6-7 years ago when they brought it to the board, like Rick said, we were about $500,000 of our taxpayer money being spent, and we can't do that. And now every one of them that we've redone, they have a cost of living in it and everything. For 10 years, they never had a cost of living in any of their, all of them. That was all the districts. It wasn't just the few that we're talking about now, so.
Okay, well, that's the question I had. If
Yeah.
taxpayers' money is paying for private,
We can't do it.
I didn't think you could. I know they don't help me out none.
All you do is pay, right?
Thank you, Bill.
I make a motion
seeing
we
you.
approve the consent calendar.
Have a
with-
second?
We have a first and a second. Tom first, Max second.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Farinelli?
Yes.
Vote passes 4-0.
Make sure Roger's absent on it. Okay, number 5, public comment.
I have just a quick. Oh, it's working now again.
Well, she has to read it first.
Can I do something real quick?
Let's read it. Oh, first. Public comment, please.
Public comment. The first 15 minutes of each regular session is set aside for members of the public to comment on any item within the jurisdiction of the board, but not appearing on the agenda. Items presented under public comment may not be discussed or acted upon by the board at this time. For items appearing on the agenda, the public is invited to comment at the time the board is called, at the time the item is called for consideration by the board. Any person addressing the board under public comment will be limited to a 3-minute presentation to ensure that all interested parties have an opportunity to speak. Any handouts to the board must be submitted to the chief clerk of the board for distribution to the supervisors. Anyone addressing the board needs to print their name clearly on the speaker sheet at the podium. Also, all persons addressing the board must state their name and county of residence for the record.
Brett, give you the floor first.
I just feel like I just wanted to welcome some special people in my life. First, my wife, Elizabeth, back there with my daughter, Emma, my son, Wyatt, and daughter, Hallie. If you guys can wave. And my mother-in-law, Nancy Kent, and what would be aunt-in-law, Laura.
Yeah.
So, welcome all. Thank you for coming this morning.
You know, see if you screw up or not.
Yes. Doing enough of that on my own.
Yeah, I just wanted to make an announcement that I felt pretty privileged this last week. I got invited to go to the Yosemite to meet and greet the president, and I had a White House special guest deal I had to have to get in, and I thought there would be thousands of people there, and they said you had to be there at 7. Well, I got there at 5:30. And I was the first one there, so I sat there for an hour before anybody got there. But it was quite an honor. Only there was a couple, three from Madera County, myself, that was invited, Rhonda Salisbury from the Visitors Bureau, and Therese, I can't remember, Williams from the Visitor Bureau was there as the media, and then we had the Sierra Star. I don't think the Tribune was there, but every other paper was there, TVs and everything, and there was only about 150 people there that got invited, and I sat 3 rows from right in front of him. He was closer than Dale is to me, so, and I wore my red, white, and blue shirt and show him that I was patriotic, and whether you voted for him or not, to be able to meet a president, I think is a great honor. So I was really, I'm going to thank Don Newbecker from the Yosemite Park for, he's the superintendent, for inviting me. So it was quite an honor, and I got a lot of pictures and videos of it. So
Very good. Very good, Tom. Congratulations. Anything more from the public? Sign in to Joseph, please.
I signed in. Good morning, Joseph Shadwan, Madera County. I just wanted to mention real quickly that the person responsible for the terror attack in Paris is to be extradited back to France to face justice for his crimes. So I'll keep you updated on how that goes.
Okay.
The most he'll get is life in prison, but vive la France.
Thanks, Joseph.
thank you, Jerry.
Anything else? Okay, bring it back to the board. We'll go to 6A and then to the hearing.
Board of Supervisors, Department District Number 1, presentation of proclamation recognizing Molly Jane Wrights for her empowerment to youth and her service to the community.
There's one more public comment. This gentleman.
Okay, come on up. Just a minute. Thank you. Anybody else? Public comment?
My name is Rafael Teran. I had a question just for the board that concerning on the homeless, the situation I'm going in right now. I was trying to get some help financial-wise, some GA assistance.
Closer to the mic, please.
Some general assistance, right, from the welfare. And I was told by my caseworker that because I have a drug conviction in the past, I don't qualify for it. But I did read in the paper a while back before that Obama had overturned that for the food stamps, right, for the CalFresh, whatever it is called. And he had approved, I guess, for those to be erased or to start over again, like, let's say, a clean slate. And I was going to ask the board of supervisors, maybe they can, vote on this or, take in consideration or maybe think about it, what I mean, that maybe some of us that are homeless, not because we choose to, but we have to, right? It's everyday life. That maybe we can get some kind of like assistance as financial-wise, because I need hygiene and I need clothing as well. And just with the food stamps that I get, like $194, I can't buy hygiene and clothing with that money. This is for food purposes only. So maybe, you guys can put on the agenda or on the calendar, you can overlook that, please.
Okay. Thank you for your comments. This is public comments. We do have people from Department of Social Services here, if you'd like to maybe talk to them. But this is public, and thank you for your comments.
Okay, thank you. All right. You guys have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Public comment. Okay, here we go.
Okay. Presentation of the proclamation recognizing Molly Jane Rice for her empowerment to youth and her service to the community. Whereas Molly Jane Rice is an exceptionally talented young lady, and whereas on May 24, 2016, Molly stood before an audience at Grizzly Stadium in Fresno, California, and sang the national anthem to a cheering crowd. And whereas, in addition, she has performed the national anthem at football games, motorcycle races, Kiss Country concert series, and has been involved in 4 summer productions at Roger Rocket's Music Hall. And whereas Molly is a dedicated student with a 4.0 GPA, 20 out of 21 semesters, who is not only scholastically motivated, but also is active in gymnastics, cheer, cross country, and motorcycle racing. And whereas she strongly believes in giving back to her community by actively volunteering at Valley Children's Hospital and the Madera County Animal Shelter. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Board of Supervisors of the County of Madera, State of California, does hereby recognize Molly Jane Wrights for her empowerment to youth and her service to the community.
Wow.
Thank you, Rhonda. I just wanted to say a couple words. Molly Jane, I mean, as you heard, I mean, that's just a small snapshot of the things that she's accomplished. She's so nice. Every time you see her, now that you've met her, every time you'll see her, she'll just have a big smile for you and a hug. And, you know, that's a testament to her parents, Doug and Jody, who raised such wonderful kids. Nolan would be getting one of these too, but he can't ride his motorcycle in here. It's kind of a little tougher.
Why not?
But, you know, it's just, this is what, you know, what a great family that just gives back to the community, and, you know, should be so proud of Molly Jane. I know I am. I was at that Grizzlies game where, you know, she had to try out to even be able to stand up there. And, you know, I can speak in front of 100,000 people, whatever, but I just thought how scary that must be to stand in front of all these thousands of people and sing, because, you know, I know everyone thinks I'm talented at everything, but I can't sing, you know.
No,
so,
I know that.
please don't. But yeah, I just wanted to bring this up as, you know, an example of what's going right in our county, and if the youth is you know, half as good as Molly in our county, we're really going on a great path. So just wanted to bring her in and show that we appreciate what she's doing and how she's carrying Madera County.
Real quick question. What do you guys think of our proposed off-the-road park? Do you think that's a good idea, or since you ride motorcycles and stuff? Do you? Yeah, you're for that? Okay, thank you. What kind of motorcycle do you do? I mean, I used to ride dirt bikes for 30-some years. Just curious. Are you racing? Or?
Both of you, yeah.
You do. Do what? Oh, very good. Wow. Old-time racer. Thank you. Well, come on up here. We'll give you a presentation. Thank you. Come on, family, get up here. Very good. What a voice she has, huh?
Yeah.
She.
It's going to get better, too.
Yep. See her on, what is that, American Idol? Fantastic. Okay, let's go to 10 o'clock hearings.
Animal Services Department, second hearing to consider an ordinance amending Madera County Code, Part 3 of Chapter 6.04 of the Title 6 pertaining to licensing and vaccination of animals.
Good morning.
Good morning. Animal Services Director Kirsten Gross. We're here for the second hearing, and we're excited to move forward with this item. Any questions?
Questions from the board? Any
Finally
questions
getting
from the
there, huh?
public? Bring it back to the board.
I move that we approve.
Second.
Have a first by Brett, second by Tom.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Farinelli?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers absent. Vote passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Does it take 30 days?
See, you did your homework.
Kirsten, 30 days to go into effect, or what?
I'm sorry?
When does it go into effect?
30 days.
30 days, okay.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Okay, 7B.
7B, Public Works Department Municipal Services Division hearing. Hearing to consider adoption of an urgency ordinance of the Board of Supervisors of the County of Madera, California, adopting controls relating to stormwater and storm sewer systems, illicit discharge and connections, construction site stormwater runoff, and landscaping as required by the municipal separate storm sewer system state permit.
Thank you, Rhonda. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Ahmad Al-Kayat with Public Works. I also have with me Mr. Ian Anderson with MLJ Consultants. And also in staff, we have Daria Dominguez. The County of Madera developed a stormwater management plan in February 2013 in compliance with federal and state requirements set forth by the National Pollutant Discharge and Elimination System, NPDES, Phase 2 permit, which is also known as MS4. The MS4 is a 5-year plan to steadily improve stormwater quality and to encourage public involvement in preserving water quality. As part of Year 3, the county is required to adopt ordinances and make adjustments to the current county code in order to remain in compliance with the general MS4 permit and its regulations. County staff with consulting with MLJ and also County Council is presenting this item before you, and we're here to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Bring it back to the board.
I move we approve item 7B.
Do I have a second? Second by Max. First by Tom, second by Max. Call for the vote.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Farinelli?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers absent. Vote passes 4-0.
Okay, thank you.
Good job.
7C.
7C, Community and Economic Development Department, Planning Division. Hearing to consider approval of a project amending the Madera County General Plan pursuant to Section 65358 of the Government Code. The area to be considered consists of 1.05 acres located on the east side of Highway 41 at the intersection of Highway 49 and Highway 41 in Oakhurst. The proposal by Mitch Bramlett is to amend the area now shown as open space designation to community commercial designation, and the Oakhurst area plan to community commercial designation as well. A variance will also be considered to allow 21 parking stalls instead of 28 required by ordinance. The property is owned by Kendra U. Barsati and Stephen J. Barsati, Steve J. and Kendra U. Barsati, Trust 2001, JS and SA Partnership, size 1.05 acres, APN 066-010-041. A drafted mitigated negative declaration has been prepared concerning the proposed project in compliance with provisions of the California Environmental Quality Act and is available together with the initial study for public review at the Madera County Community and Economic Development Planning Division.
Thank you, Rhonda. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Norman Allender here with Matt Schreiber and Robert Mansfield, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Mansfield for a brief presentation of the PowerPoint.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the supervisors. Before you is a variance 2016-002 and general plan 2016-001, a parking variance and general plan amendment at the intersection of Highway 41 and 49. The parking variance is requesting 21 parking stalls where 28 are required by ordinance. The general plan is to go from open space to community commercial. There is also the mitigated negative declaration 2016-09, specifically looking at air quality, water quality, and traffic transportation. As you see here, the current general plan for the majority of the site is open space. We are proposing for the entire parcel to go to community commercial. The zoning, commercial, urban, general, commercial, urban, medium are consistent with the retail operation being proposed here today. The existing structure that there is now was a restaurant at one point in time, which has subsequently closed. The AutoZone, who is the retail operation to exist on the parcel, will demolish the structure and replace it with a 6,900 square foot building. This is where the county ordinance comes into play, indicating the number of 28 parking stalls based on the size, one space per 250 gross area feet. Caltrans has indicated in discussions with AutoZone that they require additional easements along Highway 41, which is reducing the usable area of the parcel, therefore necessitating AutoZone to request to 21 parking spots. The general plan amendment is definitely changing to community commercial, and as we can see here, there will be ample space to include on for the parking stalls. The elevations do indicate what is being required of AutoZone to be consistent with design features up in Oakhurst, including colors and elevations. Staff and the Planning Commission, by a vote of 3-1 in favor, recommends approval of the variance 2016-002 and General Plan Amendment 2016-001 with conditions and a mitigated negative declaration and monitoring program. With that, staff remains available for questions.
Tom?
Yeah, where's the Caltrans and want more of the right-of-way? On the frontage there?
Yes, sir, along the frontage along Highway 41.
I'm looking at what page is this, 7 of your PowerPoint. What is the width of that they're trying to take? I mean,
They want 10 additional feet along Highway 41.
and that other building that's west of that is sitting right there. How can they get? Is that for future conditions? I mean, because that's 10 feet.
Exactly. It's for future conditions. Anytime you come in and make a request, that's the time to make a request for right-of-way. For them to go back after the fact would be very complex. So this is the time they make requests, just like the county would. Anytime you're doing a parcel map or a general plan amendment, we would ask you to dedicate the necessary right-of-way.
It's just a dedication, right?
Yes, sir. It's a dedication at this point, yes.
When that expansion happens, then it gets taken away and redone. Right?
Yes, sir. Or in 30 years, they abandon it because they never used it.
That's a big drop in thing, and I don't know. Did you guys take consideration of Pete's and all those other businesses? Those things, you can't get a parking place in there with breakfast and lunch. I don't care where you are, even while that place is closed.
Right, so you're making a point about restaurants. Restaurants have a much higher parking demand than retail users. Retail users, much higher turnover. Restaurants are much slower turnover. So restaurants typically have a much more difficult time accommodating their parking, yes.
I mean, yeah, did you take in consideration what's there now?
Yes,
With
yes.
Pete's and stuff? Because,
Yes.
I mean, you can't find one now, and they're closed.
Well, I understand, but yes. But we do take into consideration the surrounding uses, yes, is the answer to the question. But comparing this to a restaurant is...
I'm not comparing it to a restaurant. I am not comparing it to a restaurant. I'm saying there's a restaurant there that's already taken all those parking places. There's a big difference.
And it's a separate parcel, right? So
Right.
Yeah, so this
Well,
isn't a
they're
situation...
side by side.
Right. But so this is a different situation when you're on a separate parcel with a separate use. So it wouldn't be... We look at the surrounding area, but we don't assume that people are going to use other people's property for parking. We have to assume people are going to accommodate on site. In AutoZone...
That don't happen.
What's that?
That don't happen.
Well, I'm not telling you what, that's an issue of trespassing for the sheriff. I mean, so that's not a land use matter, that people trespass on other people's property.
A couple of years ago, maybe 4 years ago, I think you were here, we done that on the corner of 426 and 41 on the north side, that thing, and they only needed 2 more or something, and you guys didn't want to let them do that. And they only need 2 more spots, and this one needs 6 spots, is it? 7 spots.
Yes, sir, and one doesn't have to do with the other. That's 426 and 41 is several miles away, different conditions, different situations, so.
It's less than a mile away, son.
Well, that's fine. But it doesn't matter if it's 3 parcels away, Supervisor. It's apples and oranges. You can't compare a project from several years ago to a project of today.
Well, it is if it's a part of our regulations of how many can park there and how many can't.
Each variance rises and falls on its own. Each one does, Supervisor. It is. I mean, again, it's the findings to be made by the board. If the board can't support the findings, that's it. But staff doesn't make these kind of recommendations based on something done down the road or done in the past. We have to look at things with today's rules, with today's policies, and with where we are today.
Well, today's rule says there need 28, and they're asking for 21.
Yeah.
So that's a big drop, and that corner is very impacted already, and I don't know if I can support it. I just really can't because of that size.
Yes, sir.
Question for you. Did they meet all the compliance?
Except for parking. They don't have enough parking stalls for that use there. No. That's what the variance request is for.
It is a tough one.
Any statement from the public?
Dale Drosman, Madera County. AutoZone's trying to put a facility in. They bought the lot. They meet almost all of the requirements. AutoZones have very few cars sitting in front of them for very long. This should be more than enough parking to deny their request because other places in the past have been able to open restaurants or operate with way less parking than their business requires. Shouldn't impact this owner. Basically what's being said is the restaurant next door only has half the parking places they need, so they should be able to shut down the new development next to them because they've been using those spaces while not owning the property or paying tax on it.
Brett?
So, couple things. So Pete's is going to be torn down, correct?
Yeah.
How many parking
No,
spaces?
not Pete's.
It's
the
restaurant that's on it right
Taqueria.
now.
It's the Taqueria.
How many parking spaces does it have as it sits now?
The existing use?
The existing use currently has approximately 28. That was counted during a staff visit.
Okay, and then as a retail operator myself, sometimes what is more important is having the correct flow through. It looks like that was fitted out very well. It's not like you're going to go in and parking spots are on top of each other. But at the end of the day, it's who's going to be operating it. This is going to be this isn't just a developer. This is the person that's going to be operating the AutoZone, and they're going to be the ones that have to deal with the parking. So if they're comfortable with it, I'm comfortable with it. That's where I'm at.
How many employees is this going to hire to? Just have any idea?
Is the applicant here? I do believe the applicant here.
Can I get an answer to that?
Yes, there's about 12 to 15 employees.
What's your name?
Taylor with Placer County. I'm the civil engineer on the project.
What was your name again, sir?
Taylor, LZ.
It's 12 to 15 total. That's not 12 to 15 working there at all times.
Right.
Yes.
Correct. Right. That's shift work.
So.
And
Tom?
Yeah. Write his name stuff down. On that same site plan. So they're going to come into it, the property before 49?
Yes, sir. Currently there is an existing access point between where the existing restaurant is and the building would be just south of it.
Yeah, there's actually in and out just before the stop sign and one right after the stop sign. So
It would be just before the stoplight there.
the one after the stoplight they won't let them use?
I believe that is accessible to the Pete's Restaurant on the other side.
No. There's one right before the restaurant there. They've got it
So
blocked off right
that's
now.
the one that they'll be accessing through.
So to answer your question is Caltrans typically, as you know, tries to restrict the number of driveways, and if you have more driveways than they're comfortable with, they're the ones that issue the encroachment permits.
And they did issue it there for before.
It's my understanding that there was one there, and
It's in the process right now. And we're not changing any of the existing driveway locations on the site.
Okay, so you'll be using that one that they really haven't promoted very much. It's kind of been, sometimes they blocked it off even.
The one between Pete's.
Before 49, stop sign, coming down on 41.
Yes.
So that's what they'll be
And
doing.
keep in mind, too, there's also a common access easement in between the two parcels
Right.
where the restaurant is as well.
I know where that's at too. That's where all the cars piled up.
And I think that to address your bigger issue is that in a situation where the restaurant, like in the morning where the restaurant is busy and the AutoZone may not be open, because of the cross-access, it would actually improve the situation because you know what folks are going to do. They're going to go park next door, right?
Yeah.
And so the shared access does improve the situation, and as long as the neighbors are getting along good, that's fine, because I've dealt with this many times over my years. Restaurants next to retail can be very, very complex. It can be, yes.
Big time. Okay.
Max?
You know, we're talking about 28 down to 21. I don't think it makes that much difference. It's a retail store with 15 employees. I would have to agree that I would vote for certainly to approve it because it's open space. It's a hotel. It's going to be not a hotel. Restaurant's going to be knocked down. That building's going to get cleared out, and you have a auto store, then you have the restaurant next. And I think they could work together, cooperate with each other. After all, they need more jobs up there, and I certainly agree that it should be done.
Jobs are important.
Anything more from the public? Bring it back to the board.
I move we approve item 7C as presented with the change.
Okay, have a first from Tom, second from Max. Call for the vote.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Farinelli?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers absent. Vote passes 4-0.
Okay, thank you. 7D.
Community and Economic Development Department Planning Division. Hearing to consider proposal by Bob Shockley for a tentative parcel map to divide 64.94 acres into one parcel, 1712 acres, and one remainder parcel, 47.82 acres, and to amend the Madera County General Plan pursuant to Section 65358 of the Government Code. The area to be considered consists of 17.12 acres located on the south side of Avenue 12, approximately 1,000 feet east of the State Route 99 interchange, Madera. The proposal is to amend the area now shown as agricultural designation to highway service commercial designation. A rezoning will also be considered from agricultural rural exclusive 40-acre district to the proposed zone of commercial rural highway district. A variance will also be considered to allow an 80-foot on-premise sign where a 35-foot is allowed by ordinance. This proposal would allow a service station and highway commercial development. The size, 64.94 acres, APN 047110022. A drafted mitigated negative declaration has been prepared concerning the proposed project in compliance with provisions of the California Environmental Quality Act and is available together with the initial study for public review at the Madera County Community and Economic Development Department Planning Division.
Thank you, Rhonda. Chairman, members of the board, Norman Allender here. With Matt Schreiber and Jamie Bax. This will be a presentation, short presentation here. This is at the southeast corner of 12 and 99, adjacent to where you see they have at the end of 29 where there'd be an intersection coming in. Those of you who have been kind of following the new interchange. And one of the other things to note here, too, that we've done in the past, and the Planning Commission typically approves these, but since you're seeing the general plan amendment, a lot of the taller signs on 99 have been approved at around 80 feet, require a variance. Both the city and the county have done them in the past. The only one, actually the last one we did was a deviation. 80 is the sort of one we've done traditionally. The one at Avenue 7, they did it 110. So definitely a different standard than we've followed our tradition in the past. So the 80-foot request isn't out of line with what other highway commercial have requested. And with that, I'll give you Ms. Bax.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Before you is a general plan amendment rezone, tentative parcel map, and a variance. The tentative parcel map will allow for one parcel along Avenue 12. The general plan amendment is to go from agriculture currently to highway service commercial, and in support of that, a rezone from ARE 40 to commercial rural highway, which will allow for the service station and other highway uses. The tentative parcel map, again, is for the one parcel along Avenue 12, creating a 17.12 acre parcel. And again, the variance is to allow for the 80-foot sign where 35 feet is allowed by ordinance. Mostly it's for southbound traffic traveling on 99. You have the new overcrossing, quite a few trees in Cottonwood Creek and along the highway there.
Get over it so I can see it.
Again, the general plan amendment and rezone will allow for restaurant, motel, and service stations by right. So it's pretty limited, that commercial zone district. And this proposal includes a site plan for an ARCO service station similar to what was on the west side of the highway. Just a brief description of the sign itself. They're proposing an 80-foot sign. And infrastructure requires public water system with an on-site well, on-site sewer treatment system, and the construction of Stewart Road, which is the proposed cul-de-sac in the parcel map. Mitigated negative declaration has been prepared addressing aesthetics, biological resources, mostly for the avoidance of Cottonwood Creek, and cultural resources. This is a general plan map showing that it is currently agriculture and open space. There is no development proposed for the open space. That will remain the same. And a zoning map showing that it currently is ag and proposed the 17 acres along Avenue 12 is proposed to be rezoned to commercial. And a diagram of the tentative parcel map itself where you can see the proposed Stewart Road cul-de-sac. At the May 3rd Planning Commission meeting, the Commission voted 4-0 in favor to approve recommending approval of the General Plan Amendment 2015-006, rezone number 2015-008, tentative parcel map 4219, variance number 2015-007, mitigated negative declaration 2016-07, and the mitigation monitoring reporting program. I'm available for any questions.
Brett? Couple comment and then a question. As far as the 80 feet, absolutely. I mean, we put in all this money on redoing that whole circulation on 12 and 99, and then we sit there and then we don't use it because we don't tell people what's there. It would be just an absolute waste of any taxpayer dollars to bring in anything new off of the freeway. So, I mean, if we can go to 110, that's fine with me too. Since there's precedent. But, I mean, how many times are you driving up and down 99 and you see, a sign from 2 miles away and you're like, that's where I'm going to pull off, and you don't miss it.
Yeah,
but if it's at 35 feet and you're like, oh, there was where I could have pulled off, oh, wait, I'll just keep going down to Fresno. So
we want to stop here.
We want to make that an anchor, however we can pull them in. The other side to that is just want to make sure, are we being too short-sighted where we're just looking for a gas station because that's what we always had there? Is there the ability to have heavier retail there? I know it, just wanted to ask, are we being short-sighted? Are we just taking what we can get now, or could there be something better in the future?
Well, there's more to come, I will say. The 17-acre zoning was back and forth, had to do with how much time it would take because they do have a tenant that's going to be there. Now, highway service commercial allows more than just service stations. It allows a broader route of uses that'll have their hotels, even a truck stop, not on 17 acres. So the remainder of the property will be changed when they have a project going forward. But the applicant and the property owner, he had a tenant. And he wanted to move forward with something that was workable, and we went back and forth. So the rest of this property, absolutely, he will someday turn it into that. I'm not going to speculate on who he's talking to. I haven't heard anything. Why? Anyway, the property owner does talk to a lot of folks, has a lot of ideas, and when you go into a project not knowing what the user is, sometimes you buy more mitigation measures, right? Because we're just saying, okay, you could do X, Y, and Z. When we go into a project knowing what the project is, you can tailor those mitigation measures after what is really effective. So, yeah, more to come for sure in the future.
Just wanted to make sure. Thoughts?
Yeah, this is out of the city's sphere of influence, right?
It is not currently in the city sphere. I think it just is at the edge of the sphere. I think this current sphere goes to 12. Currently, yes. I don't have that in front of me, but as I recall, yes.
It goes to the north side of 12.
Yeah. So the north side of 12 is in the city sphere. The south side currently is not.
It's all
Yeah.
deal.
Dotted line down the middle.
Currently, yes.
And then, was this ever in the Williams Act?
At one point in time, it was, Jamie.
It was, and it was out, the contract expired 2015.
Oh, okay, because I was wondering.
Since this is adjacent to an interchange and, our string of pearls concept, this is consistent with that direction. The property owner took it out of Williamson Act a while ago, yes.
And how many total acres is that triangle?
The total is approximately 64 acres total.
64.
Correct.
Okay, that's right. I thought you said it, but I didn't catch it when I was writing down. So, and I couldn't find it on these things, so it's 64.
I'm really excited about bringing Avenue 12 back to life.
No
You
kidding.
know, after the whole construction and everything that got tore down, the other gas stations and everything else, you could see that maybe one of the gas stations in the Jack in the Box didn't have to get tore down. So that's kind of, boy, what an oxymoron that one was. But very excited about seeing 12, especially on that side, you know, start develop. We promised the junior college a long time ago, in the 90s, that would actually start being developed, and it looks like it's going to finally happen. So I'm very excited about it. Thank you.
Rick, if it makes you feel any better, Caltrans paid way too much for the Jack in the Box as well. Almost double.
Yeah, you were like,
yeah. Remember that one?
I used to
Tom,
stop
they're
there all
only
the
off
time,
by
'cause I
about
like Jack in the
80%
Box.
on their.
Yeah, I know. Well, the gas station was amazing. What the article that was there before.
And Car Wars.
Okay, anything from the public?
As the board, Dale Drosen, Madera, as the board and planning seems to be looking at developing Avenue 12 up towards the college, is there some provision in this to eventually give up their well and septic or small sewer system and tie into a major system? It'll have to go in there as these parcels develop, or is it going to be piecemeal?
Who to give the college give up theirs?
No. This parcel is putting in a well and its own sewer system, just for a gas station and a motel and whatever. Eventually, there will be more stuff built down Avenue 12, at least towards the college. Is there some provision? Eventually, there's going to be I envision anyway, a sewer system and a water system that would take in the whole area.
Only if somebody comes and proposes it.
So the answer to that is that it's in the city's, quote, general plan, not in the sphere, but if someday it does become annexed to the city, they will hook to city services at that time. We have discussed, it's more of an engineering consideration, I actually have discussed with the city planning director that very topic, that when we approve these projects that are not yet ready to annex, to make sure in the engineering that somebody thinks about a stub out going, the other way, because septic systems are usually in the back and sewer systems lines usually run out the front. So we have had that discussion with the city, yes, and Public Works, I'm going to have them address that moving forward, yes.
Sewer trunk imperialism.
Okay, I'm bringing it back to the board. Brett?
I move that we approve this item.
Second.
Got a second? Yeah, second. I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. We got a first from Brett, second from Tom.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Farinelli?
Definitely yes.
Supervisor Rogers, absent. Vote passes 4-0.
Thank you.
I found the acres here.
Okay, now we are going to move 11J, 11-J or whatever the heck it was. Anyway, to the hearing.
So that'd be a 7E, huh?
That'll be 7E, yeah.
Community and Economic Development Department, Planning Division.
Thank you, Bob.
Hearing to consider
Good seeing you.
the approval of a resolution adopting the revised business assistance guidelines.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I will be brief on this. On our business assistance guidelines through the Community Development Block Grant Program, we occasionally have to change these by occasionally 2 or 3 times a year when there's different changes in criteria. These are required to be done as a public hearing because they do have effect on low-income and disadvantaged communities. So this is a public hearing to discuss the changes to these guidelines. Mr. Mansfield has worked with the EDC staff, with Lois, and all of it's been straightened out through the federal government and the state as well that oversees it. So with that, staff will be brief if there's no questions. Thank you.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Bring it back to the board.
I move we approve item J7E, 7EJ. How's that?
That's good. Second. We have a first and a second. Tom first, second Max.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheelers?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Farinelli?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers, absent. Vote passes 4-0.
Thank you. Okay, let's go back to the regular. Okay. 6, Rick. Yes.
Take a 5-minute break.
Sure, 5-minute break. For the small
Yeah, this is all her own sound, kind of, we're trying to oversee the parts. It's kind of, yeah, she stays in a range, you know, some people try and, it's kind of like that.
I just want to ask, just in case you do have something definite.
Yeah, let me check it down and see what's going on. I'm not going to want to do that. I mean, you're going to win, huh? You know, big old rifle. What are you going to do with it? I'll buy you some. What number is it?
I just got one more time. It'll be 6.
Did you write your name on?
6 what?
What do you do?
That's why I didn't give it a number.
I wrote my name on the top.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
God, my ears killing me.
Just take a ticket and keep that stuff, but I'll give it to you.
Do you want to give it a number, or you just want to say we'll take up the addition to the agenda?
We'll take addition to the agenda, yeah. Get her done, get her done.
Huh? Yeah, Topper's good. She'll do that.
Okay. Back in order. We'll take up the one that was added to the agenda. I don't know what we want to call that, 6AA or something. Let's do that.
The addition to the agenda, discussion and consideration to amend resolution number 2016-27, advising the Madera Irrigation District of the charges to be made for collection of district assessments and other terms.
Tracy.
It's showtime.
Where's your,
My dollar's on a different.
That's the only, I think that's the only time I've ever.
I know, that's how you don't know who I am. Now, have you already taken the action to have this off agenda? I mean, add it to the agenda?
It's already did that.
Okay. So what we have before you today is an amended resolution. What we're trying to do is collect the costs associated with this function, with the billing and collection for MID, so that everybody understands it's completely transparent. There's no hidden agenda. There's nothing to be concerned about. I would want that too. I wouldn't want to sign a blank check for, if I was in that position either. So we understand the need that they wanted a number, so we came up with some estimates for what our offices, all the different offices, would be providing for services and functions. It's kind of a by the minute. We're trying to make the language fit, and I think our latest language is going to be shall not exceed, the actual annual cost shall not exceed $45,000. So the actual annual cost shall not exceed $45,000. Now that's an estimate, so we don't know what we don't know. But that is what we've come to terms with for the different 3 offices, the auditor, the assessor, and myself. And of course, it's my department that's going to take the brunt of all of the questions and concerns and calls. And what is in the water code is a number that's about $17,000, and to pay for all the billing and collection of their particular assessments, and we knew that wouldn't fit. So, but we don't know how far off it is, and probably not too far. but it's a work in progress. So anyway, this is just to standardize the language and give MID some sort of a comfort.
Before anybody talks, I just want to thank the committee that worked on this. They worked very hard, looked at it, had, 4 department heads working on it, and for $45,000. And I just think it's outstanding the way I liked going through the process that we did, and I just want to thank everybody for working on that. Thank you. Tom?
Yeah, now if somebody told me that this contract runs out in 4 or 5 years?
4 years of the water code.
Yeah, it's a 4-year. Per water code, it's a 4-year term.
So I just wondered about a cost of living in this, for what might happen. I mean, we might give $10,000 raises next year, and so that wouldn't cover this.
We are putting together an agreement or a memorandum of understanding to outline the scope of services that they expect from us and that we are prepared to provide. And in that scope of services memorandum of understanding, we're going to put in there if there were a cost of living, if something had changed, so that we could annually review that. Because typically it would change over time. There's electronic things that happen, payments over credit cards.
It could be cheaper too, but it could be either way, but I wouldn't think it could be cheaper, but I just want to make sure we're covered on that, and they're agreeable to that. I mean, they're not here again today.
The main expense is going to be in terms of the first years when people are seeing a new line on their tax bill.
Well, that's the first thing, but what it's going to be for us is that we got to develop all this stuff, and that costs us money.
Yeah, that's all part of our
Yeah, I think the committee really did a great job in looking at it, and each one of the department heads basically gave their commitment to what it is going to cost, and that's why we came up with the not to exceed $45,000, and because of our first year is going to be a challenge. But I think the next year we'll look at going down, and I like that, like what Tom said, it has a 4-year grace period, so it's good. County Council?
Yes. Supervisor Wheeler, just to add to what the Treasurer Tax Collector said with the 4-year contract, that doesn't mean after the 4th year, MID cannot, they still have the option to pass a resolution to request that the county provide the services of the collection of assessments. So after 4 years, it doesn't mean we won't continue to be asked to provide those services. But they might find that
they may find that it's not worth it to them. I don't see that happening.
Are we bound down now but 4 years, no matter what? Or can either one of us bow out? We can't bow out, right?
Cannot bow out.
Yeah, because of law.
State law.
Can they?
Right.
They want to.
Can they take it back over?
They can. I don't see why they wouldn't be able to pass a resolution that they want to take their functions back.
I doubt if they want to for that.
But with us, the option of when they make the request, our obligation is to let them know what the costs are going to be with this, which this resolution does. It clarifies it for them, and then they get to decide whether those costs are acceptable or not for them. So they get to pass a resolution to determine whether these costs that we prevented are acceptable to them. And so they have a meeting this afternoon, which is why we suggested the subsequent need item be added to this agenda because of the timing. And so we'll find out once they make a decision whether it's acceptable, and then we would have, a contract based on these resolutions. But we will suggest an MOU to set forth the bigger, the small details that you can't put in a resolution.
Max?
Well, it's very simple. Instead of 17, you go to 45. That's a figure that hopefully will be within. But if it doesn't happen, the second and third year, you could probably audit the expenses and find out whether it's up or down.
Correct.
And make those adjustments at that time.
Correct.
I think they would be happy. We'll be satisfied also.
Correct. We're going to keep track of it.
Yeah, and we can't withdraw from this program because it's state mandated, and they can if they want to. But hopefully we can work as a team.
Yeah, there's 3 collection times per year, and each one of those times, there's the actual costs goes, an audit of the actual costs goes to them, so they know exactly what work has been done and what they're paying for. Actual cost, not an estimate. So, I mean, once it gets going, it'll be fine. I mean, I think it's become much ado about nothing.
Yeah, for example, just yesterday, we got an email from their office or staff about 90 parcels that haven't matched up to the assessor's parcels.
90?
So 90, which is not a lot, really,
No, it's not.
when you're thinking
That's
18,000.
going to be an interesting audit situation.
Not when you're in 18,000.
Yeah,
parcels.
so they're reviewing them to see if maybe they're just off a number or something. So we're already working, for a common goal. So we're not adversaries at all. That's not my intention.
Okay. Anybody from the public? Bring it back to the board.
I move that we approve, what is it, item 6AA?
Second. We have a first by Brett, second by Max. Call for the vote.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Farinelli?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers absent. Vote passes 4-0.
6B.
6B, Community and Economic Development Department, Planning Division. Discussion and consideration of approval of the request of Valley West Christian Center to waive the necessary fees for entitlements and building permits for expansion of school facility. I do have a letter from Mr. Leach that he requests to be read into the record.
Okay.
Uh,
Do you want to wait for public comment, or do you want to wait for the presentation? Norm, you want that?
That's fine. Yes.
Okay.
I'm requesting the waiver of county fees for the conditional use permit for the property owned by Valley West Christian Center that is being used for the Sherman Thomas Charter Schools and church Bible studies in the County of Madera on Adele and Owen Street. The church has provided the land for elementary and high school charter schools and will be doing minor remodeling, providing for attendance growth of the schools. Both schools are public charter schools providing high-quality education for the residents of Madera County at no cost, free tuition to the students. To provide this tremendous community blessing, costs need to be kept at a minimum. Your approval of the waiver fee will help greatly. Valley West Christian Center provides a lower than market rate lease for the charter schools, allowing them to buy much needed technology and extra supplies. VWCC has also helped the county in providing property for Madera County Action Committee Head Start, encompassing 2 sites. We have been a polling place for the local community for the past 14 years at no cost and provided our facility free of charge for many community gatherings such as Madera County Against Human Trafficking Awareness meetings in 2016 and Jesse Peterson Fathers meetings sponsored by one of the Board of Supervisors. Our building has been used at no charge for many large funerals that no one else could accommodate. Thank you for this consideration.
Thank you. Chairman, members of the board, Norman Allender here, Matt Schreiber and Jamie Bax. What we have before you is pursuant to 8.03.020. So in that section of the code, it gives me certain authorities to waive a certain amount of fees. The request here is above that authority I have, and so we bring it forward here. They have the 2 findings, 1 and 2. Those of you who have done these in the past are familiar with the fact that this is one of the rare times staff doesn't make a recommendation since it's beyond my authority. I bring it forward, and we have it here today in front of you. So the 2 findings are listed here, and as is typically done, it's made as a part of the motion, whether it's to approve or to deny. Thank you.
Questions from the board?
Yeah.
Tom?
I'm just looking to see where you got your 2 findings.
Yes, sir. It should be in the page 1 and in page 2. So the findings would be the contribution of the project would be benefit.
Okay.
The fee would constitute a hardship, which in turn reduced the benefit to the county. And then the second one, the public interest would be served by waiving or reducing the fee. So, again, it can be waived or reduced is your options, actually. So.
Well, I remember, I think we reduced one time, but I know there's been quite a few church deals that came before us before, and I don't remember us giving any of them an exemption.
In the past, there's been mixed results. You've said no, probably more than you said yes, but I don't keep an accurate count of that.
Yeah, but I know we have most of them. But do they pay property taxes on this?
I'd have to check. As a 501c3, churches typically don't pay property tax unless they are generating revenue from it. So I don't have the answer right in front of me, but I'd have to say, in general, no would be the question.
Well, I think that's a misuse of public funds, and if we give them an exemption on this, because they don't need to pay property taxes, where the rest of us do on our properties. So I don't feel that we should do this, because there'll be a bunch more of them coming, and they all want this, so, and they've already been a bunch of them since I've been on board.
Any more discussion from the board?
I mean, are they, oh, go ahead, Max.
Go ahead. Oh, Max, you got up there before I was looking. Go ahead, Max.
You know, I understand what Tom is saying, you know, we're deviating from past practice. It's really bothered me, you know, as far as what direction to go on this one here, but this is a non-profit organization here. And the people that deal with it mostly, and I've been over there and I've seen the pupils that are there. The majority of them are very low-income people, people that need help spiritually and educational. And the organization is trying to do the best they can with what they have. And everybody, every dollar counts. I realize that they should pay their share. But being nonprofit, and I know the people that work there, they're not getting high wages. They're doing it in the spirit of goodwill and also the spirit of the man upstairs. So I would have to oppose my fellow supervisor. I would say that we should dispense with B.
How about cutting them in half or something?
Well, if you're going to do that, you might as well go all the way. And no, I wouldn't agree with that. I'd say just cut it completely off.
Yeah. Brett?
Yeah, I look at this, and you look at the body of work that Valley West Christian Center does in the community at large through the Madera Ministerial Association, through, you know, I mean, they have that curb stripe program. They've got all these different programs, Love Madera, all these different things that constantly doing cleanups around in their area where taxpayer or where taxes just don't reach, where we don't have the street sweeping programs, where we don't have things like that, where they're feeding the community through their pantries. And the amount of good, yeah, they may not pay property taxes, but the amount of goodwill that they do in volunteerism, we couldn't do the things that we do without that help, that volunteer arm of the faith-based organizations, and especially Valley West Christian Center. So I would be leaning more towards Supervisor Rodriguez.
Sorry, everybody finished? You know, I worked for, you know, a company that basically leased out to different churches throughout the community. And basically, they have a different rule to play by than the private sector when it comes to different things. Fees is not one of them, or waivers or estimates. I think this church particular has been outstanding community, you know, outreach programs with different things and stuff like that, and probably the anchor of the rest of the, I'm sorry to say, the rest of the churches, because and like someone said that in Pastor Leach's letter, I can't believe how many times he's opened up his church, his whole church, for the county, and especially the human traffic. We had over 300 people on 3 different sessions in the human trafficking. He ran the whole videos and the procedures and the lights and the whole show, actually, him and his son. And I really appreciate that. But to me, they just like anybody else, they have to have, you know, something in the till, and I would agree to just cut it in half. Especially with some of the other ordinances that we know that were missed as this church was being built. Anyway, I would think this time is to basically true up some of those. So I would suggest just cutting it in half. Anybody from the public?
Dale Drozen, Madera County. I think one of the reasons our government is growing in leaps and bounds is a lot of the volunteer organizations are being driven out of it by fees and costs and trying to deal with the government. I don't believe all churches or all nonprofits should be handed the fees. It should be on a case-by-case basis, as Supervisor Farinelli said. This one's been involved in the community. They proved their worth, and they've kind of paid their dues. Maybe cutting the fees in half would be a pretty good measure. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Purcell.
I've had several grandkids that went through this school out there, and that school, I believe I read in the paper, was voted #1 in the county of Madera for what the students what it had done for the students. And this school, I know a little about that church. Of course, my son's a pastor also, and we have a church. But this church, I don't know about them, but I know we give out food for people that need food. They do a lot of things for the community that they don't get paid for. I mean, the people that are in the congregation, we have to contribute for all these programs. I'm not talking about his particularly. I don't know a lot about them. But I do know this school is a very good school. My granddaughter was a teacher there at one time, and that was her first teaching credentials, her first school she taught at. Now she's in Clovis. But anyway, I'd recommend the school very highly, and I feel like that, like I say, all the things that they do for the community that they don't get paid for, that I think that they could do something for them to help them out in this, whatever they're going to do to that school. It's not for them. It's for kids. It's for the school. It's not for the church. What I'm seeing here on this thing, is that not what it is?
It's for both. I just I usually don't say anything, comments and stuff, but you realize that the school does get paid by the state, same amount of money as the public school gets paid by, even if though they are a private charter school, they get paid, just like this church, just like this school over here, they get paid.
Well, I know they get paid.
Yeah,
same
and they do an excellent job, and I'm real proud of them. And I think every kid should have a chance to go to a charter school.
But what about the school districts? Do they pay taxes? I mean, the schools.
No.
None of them pay taxes. So you're saying that these people should, even the schools, whenever something happens like this, they
pay their fees to the state. They have to pay fees to the state to do it. They don't pay us.
Yeah, they don't pay us, then it comes through.
They pay the state, and they do pay fees. And they pay fees.
They pay fees.
I've been on the school board and paid them.
Here, hang on.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I didn't see the other two.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Well, anyway, I would recommend that you cut the fees for them. That's up to you guys.
Okay.
Thank you, Bill. Well, I want to make a motion to make it they pay almost a third, about $2,500. I'll make a motion that they only pay $2,500 out of the $5,829.
I was going to say that you were at 50%, Max and I were at 0%. If we met more in the middle there, I did a rough estimate. That's about $1,500.
And also, it includes, because there's not an estimate on the building fees are much more typical to do. So the hard number is the conditional use permit, but the second part of this would be the building inspection fees, which are somewhat indeterminate because we haven't seen the actual project. So they're requesting both.
I'll make a motion they pay 1/3 of the fees.
Okay.
It's, may I speak, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
We've all agreed that they're doing a good job, that the people are sacrificing a lot of their time. They do get compensated for teaching. But these people, it's a church it's outstanding.
They all are,
and
Max.
I know there are, but this is a special, I'm not a member of this church. I just stand out here and look in, and I can see it by talking to the parents of the kids that go there. And we have a lot of children we're losing because of other factors. And when an institution can do what they're doing and keeping the kids on course as far as education, and yes, they should pay, their fees are so much, but anything we do to as an obstacle for them to get growing, to do a better job, and the money is always a factor there. Yeah, you reduce 100%, 50%, a third. You know, by saying a third, you know, you're still saying, well, you're keeping to your guns. But I think let's have a big heart here. This is a project that has to go forward. They're doing a good job. We all agree to that. And a third is not going to be that much. Let's go all the way and help them as much as we can. Yes, it's not something we've done in the past generally, but this is a special case. And when we have special projects, special institutions that are doing a good job, we should reward them, sort of. You know, and this is, they don't come to us that often, but this is a way that we can show our appreciation, and we speak for the community. Let's do it all the way, guys.
Well, they do come to object to our things. It's job creation, like the casino and the high-speed rail. They fight that all the time.
I know that because I'm a lot of projects that I favor, they oppose. But that's a different situation there. You know, I'm not going to hold them against it. You know, Tom, I'm not going to hold it against them.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Brett? I agree with Max, but I don't want this to end in a 2-2 vote. Does this need to go now, or can we wait for a fifth member?
I just, real quick, before we vote again, I did delve into this matter, and I did look at it, and because Roger Leach has done so much for the community and actually for me personally, as far as letting us have his meetings out there. But there's things in the past that you guys don't know about that basically drives me to say at least do it by half. So that's my comments, and that's what I'd stay by. So
I still make a motion that I made, cut them 2/3. They'll pay 1/3.
I second.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
No.
Supervisor Frazier?
No.
Supervisor Farinelli?
Yes.
So vote fails 2-2.
You said yes, didn't you?
I said no.
Oh, okay. Well, bring it back up.
Take that motion. You want me?
Yeah, I move, go ahead, Max.
I make a motion that that they not pay that fee. Okay, very simple.
I second it.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Farinelli?
No.
Supervisor Wheeler?
No.
Vote fails 2-2. Supervisor Rogers absent.
I move that we reduce their fee by 90% to 10%.
You said 15 before. 15,
Well,
no?
well, you should have voted with the...
You didn't vote. You didn't make the recommendation.
15%?
Got a second?
I move it to
$1,500.
15%.
You said
Yeah,
$1,500 before.
We're talking about 15%.
$1,500 total.
$1,500.
No, wait a minute. You
Yeah,
can't
that's
say that
just on
because we
this.
got more fees coming.
Yep.
I did it that it was 1/3 of everything from now on.
Okay, then 15% for everything.
Do I have a second?
So when we're going to get any help, Max.
Dies lack of a second.
I make a motion for, since that didn't pass, I'll make a motion for 50%.
50%, that's already...
Or, I mean,
fine.
40, let's go 30%. 30%, that was a 15, because you're talking about other
Do we have
fees.
20, do we have 25?
Yeah, well, anyway, well, that's what it sounds like we're doing.
That's
right
what
now.
you're doing, so.
Yeah. So, any second on that?
Yep.
Got a second? First, Rick, second, Tom. Call for the vote?
Where are we at now?
30%.
All right, so we got some wiggle room.
That's-
Call for the vote. Supervisor Farinelli?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
No.
Supervisor Frazier?
Nope.
Vote fails 2-2. Supervisor
Then
Rogers
I would
absent.
bring it back to the next board meeting
Let's table it.
and
You
table it
can't.
until, we
You
can't?
got to wait a year.
I
Oh,
don't
that's right.
believe that,
Okay, guess we wait a year.
Okay, we'll check into that. If it's possible, bring it back at the next
You
meeting.
can't do it because it failed. That's the bottom line.
There has
County
to,
Council?
I move that we,
You can deny without prejudice, right? Is that what you were thinking? Oh, I'm sorry.
no, there can be, since it failed, there can be a motion to move this to dates certain, a future meeting, this item. Otherwise, it simply fails for a lack of a vote.
Can I make a
So-
motion, another motion?
yeah,
I make a motion that we go to 10%. That's it. Of cost.
that's not going to work.
Did you second?
No, I can't. I would like to, but it's not going to work.
Yep.
We got to pass it today, guys.
We do. It's like waste a year. That's just the bottom line. 'Cause I'm not going to vote to extend it either.
I move that we say 22%.
Nothing wrong with 30% at all. We have done this before on a couple of projects, and we've reduced it like this, but not down that low. And this is crazy. This is something that we start doing this, and we're going to have every church that comes to our thing. they're gonna
County
do
Council is that we don't get approval, but any motions, do we wait 1 year?
I'm not going to vote for that.
So it wouldn't be a motion to reconsider because you're not going to reconsider this item later. I don't think the votes are going to change, but you can move this to a different meeting where you have 5 members.
There
who
you go,
can-
5 supervisors here.
So you
How
can
do I
move
do
this,
that?
you can make a motion to move this item to the July 12th meeting.
Okay.
As
I'll
long
make
as
that
that
motion.
does it, that timing works for staff.
It's actually not our timing. It would be the applicant's timing. So, yeah, we're fine with it. Staff's fine with it.
I second Max.
Okay.
The only problem I have is right now is the applicant's not here. He might have agreed to the 30%, and I have a
Yeah.
problem with that, so. but
He
anyway.
should have stayed, too. These guys that got this on the agenda, just like MID, they don't
We have a
show up.
first- We have a first and a second.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
No.
Supervisor Farinelli?
No.
Okay, so
So you got a choice. You guys either vote for something like we offered, or it don't go to another year. That's just the bottom line.
And I agree with that we're opening the door for
kidding,
every
man.
church to come in here and
we
do
take
the
it
same thing.
and we take it case by case basis.
And we have. We've
have.
done that. And we've done something like this, and we've never given full.
I thought they said that we have in the past.
It's again a case by case basis. Most of the time the answer is no. Sometimes they get reduced, and sometimes occasionally the board says yes. But it's a
I
total,
don't remember-
like you
I
said,
don't
case
ever
by
remember
case.
saying yes on
Not
anything.
necessarily for a church, but I mean other nonprofits.
Right.
And so I'm just speaking broadly. So again, it's totally up to the board.
30%.
I'll make a motion 30% again if you guys want to do it. Mac?
I second.
Yeah.
Call for the vote.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Farinelli?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
No.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Vote passes 3-1. Supervisor Rogers absent.
That wasn't on purpose. I just dropped it. I'm not
No, you didn't. You did that on
You
purpose.
dropped the phone on purpose, or what?
They needed something.
Okay.
Lightning come down and got you.
I've lost my, yeah, lightning. Okay, I lost my place already. Gee, Christmas. Sorry about that. 6E? Yeah, go ahead, Max. Where in the heck, what the heck am I doing? Here we go. Oh, I just, had my circles here. Let me back up. Okay, we're going to go to 6E.
6E, Water and Natural Resources Department. Madera Groundwater Authority updates Sustainable Groundwater Management Act. 1, discussion and consideration of approval of a template for a memorandum of understanding with entities that are forming an exclusive groundwater sustainability agency. 2, discussion and consideration of giving authority to the chairman of the board or chief of development services to sign future agreements with districts prepared to sign agreement as presented. 3, discussion and direction regarding GSAs becoming exclusive without an MOU with Madera County.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board. Joined this morning by Julia Berry, our Director of Water and Natural Resources, and a young upstart in the attorney world, a man by the name of Doug Nelson. So, before you was a short update. We were in front of the board recently to have a discussion of this. Since then, we've been rather busy working, and so we want to give you another update of where we are in the world. Okay. So this is the background from 2014 when the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act came in. Again, the term sustainability, and we hear this one of the key terms, and it has to do with undesirable effects, which are listed pretty much throughout the law. As I said last time, this is a kind of basic way of looking at it. You have the 3 subbasins, which we've done more in-depth discussion of what's going to happen in those 3 subbasins. As I told you last time, this is sort of how we see the world. When you add the subbasins with the water districts, with the county service areas, with the private water districts, and it gets fairly complex. Again, the 3 subbasins that are out there, the Madera subbasin, we're still on the same path of a single plan, a single GSP, but they're going to be implemented with multiple GSAs, multiple agencies. In the Chowchilla subbasin, a little smaller area, and we're pursuing a single plan like in the Madera subbasin, but implementing it with one GSA, which is really, to me, the best option. We're really, the relationship with the Chowchilla subbasin committee is a lot smaller group, and we really have been working with those folks to try to bring that together. The Madera subbasin is a bigger group. On the Delta Mendota subbasin, the things that are happening there that have changed, and again, the county is not going to be a part of any GSAs in that subbasin. There aren't what is known as white areas in that subbasin. So we did speak with some of the water districts in that area, and they're going to have multiple GSAs for sure, and the decision on multiple plans are working on. What we've learned, though, one of the things is, and we'll go through this, is that we generally thought in the Delta Mendota subbasin, since we wouldn't have a GSA or be participating in a GSA, we would have very little to do with that area. And boy, was I wrong on assuming that. I mean, even if we're not a GSA in the area at all in the subbasin, there are several things that have to do with our permitting authority that require us to coordinate. And the sort of thing I want you to take away from here today, the biggest thing in all of this discussion is that this law, the way it's written, requires land use agencies and these water agencies and GSAs to work cooperatively to share data and share information. So I'll go more into that as we do it.
Is there any authority on that?
There are the written laws, and that Doug has worked with Julia and I to try to understand this. The issue isn't the written authority. The issue is this is brand new law. This has not been implemented. We had our training here last week, and one of the best takeaways I had from the David Sandino training, he said, and he's a DWR lawyer, and he goes, I don't know. Nobody has ever written a GSP before. So that is the one thing we truly are trying to understand. I'm about to cover a bunch of authorities that are out there.
Okay, I just worried about that. If they can tell us what we're going to do with land use. So.
Well, I don't know if that it's as cut and dry as that, and so we'll go to the next slide, right? So when you're in the formation, oh, we lost you. There you go. No.
That's the next one.
Oh, there. I'm going off the screen. So anyway, we have 2 agencies that have filed to be a GSA within the 90-day period, Madera Irrigation District and Aliso Water District. The Columbia Canal and Exchange Contractors actually filed back last year and became exclusive there. Here's the difference, though, in these 3 areas. The one on the top is a very, very small portion of our county, and it's all agricultural land uses. The bottom one, again, Aliso Water District, these are in the Delta Mendota subbasin. These are all agricultural uses within there, right? The difference in the one where the Madera Irrigation District has filed to be the GSA, there are a lot more M&I uses. And so within the GSA proposed by Madera Irrigation District, you have over 1,000 acres of commercial. You have over 3,200 acres of industrial. So those are, and so those are job-generating uses that are of great concern to the county. So at our last meeting on April 19th, these are the topics that you wanted discussed. Subsequent to that, in coordination first with Madera Irrigation District, they had already worked with the City of Madera and negotiated an MOU. So we took that template and added the topics that the Board of Supervisors asked to be there. And so, that's fine. Yeah. Okay, so here's some of the things, this is kind of review, some of the things that we've learned or kind of really spent a lot of time doing. And what we did is we went to the GSP requirements. What has to be in a GSP, which is a couple of years down the road, and what are the authorities of a GSA, the agencies, which are now being formed. And so the one thing that says this is, black letter law. Before the adoption or substantial amendment of a county general plan, the planning agency shall review and update the groundwater sustainability agency or plan. So before we do substantial changes to our general plan, regardless of any MOUs, we have to coordinate that with the GSAs, whether or not we're a member of that GSA or not. We don't have an option, which isn't that big of a deal, but it's something that new. Now, what does coordinate with and what does substantial mean? Those are terms that Doug and I have started to talk about, and what do they mean? So next slide, please. Again, this has to do with referral of proposed general plan updates to other agencies. Now, in current state law, when you do a general plan amendment, you're required to notify adjacent jurisdictions. So we're required to notify Fresno County and Merced County, right? And they do us all the time. We are not presently required to notify internal government agencies, right? And so this will change it and will broaden that effect. So not only do we notify adjacent land use agencies, we will now have to notify the GSAs of any substantial amendment. Okay, covered by a special district, as significantly affected by the proposed action, as determined by the planning agency, which would be us. So some of these definitions of what is or isn't a substantial change is defined by us. I would at least hope it is, and at least defined collaboratively. And again, they have to have an adopted GSP. So until if these GSAs currently become exclusive, until they have a GSP, nothing really changes. And until they have the plan, the agency can't really adopt rules. So related to county land use involvement, again, upon receiving of a notification, shall provide a planning agency with what it says in the GSP, which currently in the 2 sub-basins we are planning to work cooperatively on GSPs, and a report of the anticipated effects. So again, this is intertwining the land use authority with the involvement from these agencies. This is state law. Shall have the following additional authority, and this is one that is of concern, but again, these all have these interactions. So additional authority of a GSA. So these are things over and above what a GSA can do. One of the things they can do is impose spacing requirements on new ground well construction and minimize well interference, right? Wells are too close to each other, they interfere with each other. That's a pretty common thing that we all know. Again, a GSA may make limits on groundwater extraction. That's something that's allowed to do. And the actions, it says in the 3rd paragraph, and we're paraphrasing, and there's more in your attachments, the actions of a GSA shall be consistent with the applicable elements of a city-county general plan, unless there is insufficient sustainable yield in the basin to serve the land. That's that underlying statement that concerns anybody in the land use business. So if a GSA says there's no sustainable yield for these land uses, which as a critically overdrafted basin is pretty easy to say, which land uses, right? Are we talking about agricultural uses? Are we talking about de minimis users, which are rural residential users? Are we talking about M&I users? So that is a concern that
or commercial.
M&I is typically, commercial, So those are concerns that we have, and that's the reason why Fresno County has very, very strong language in their MOUs. The language we've proposed and the sample language you're approving today is not especially strong language. It's just an agreement to agree, which the law makes you do in the first place. So go to the next slide, please. Was that the last one? Okay. So I'd like to have Julia make a quick thing, and I'll give a closing comment about our upcoming public workshop we have.
So as he described, there's a different situation in the Chowchilla subbasin versus the Madera subbasin. We will be a partner in the Groundwater Sustainability Agency that's being formed. So the city of Chowchilla, we're hoping will come on board. We understand they will. The county of Madera, Chowchilla Water District, and Triangle T and Clayton Water District are also in discussions to become a single groundwater sustainability agency, which is a different situation than in the Madera subbasin. Last week, the Chowchilla Water District had a grower meeting, and they were kind enough to invite all of those growers who are not currently in their district, so they could start educating them about this process. And so we thought that was an opportunity to let those growers who are in what is called the white area, our responsibility, let them know that we're having a public meeting just for them, and it'll be June 30th next week at the Chowchilla Fairgrounds, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m.,
And Becky Beavers and I have been working on taking the Chowchilla Subbasin, and we'll have a master map that has been broken up into grids, and then we have then zeroed in on each white area so that people can see who else is in the white area, who owns the property, who their neighbors are, because some of the feedback we've been getting is that people say, how does the county know who's in a white area, and how do they know, who they're responsible for? So we want to show that we do have that information, and we want them, and they also want to know who their neighbors are, who is in the same boat with them. So that'll be next Thursday at 8 a.m. at the Chowchilla Fairgrounds in the Little Theater, and you're all welcome to attend.
And we say that because, starting with the Chowchilla Subbasin, because the amount of property owners, we're talking in the hundreds. In the Madera Subbasin, we're talking in the thousands. So it's the first one of many. So those listening at home, I want you to know this isn't just a one and only thing. And I also want the folks out there listening is that there aren't a bunch of rules being made behind the scenes that you don't know about, right? So these things all have to come forward. The Madera Groundwater Authority is a JPA. It's at public meetings, and we have very, very good relations going there, right? So let me just close with this. And Doug, I don't know if Doug wants to make any comments. Whether or not, we already have one GSA that's been exclusive, and it hasn't been an issue. We have two more that will be coming exclusive here shortly. Julie, I know, spoke to Aliso Water District today. We did present them with an MOU. They actually didn't have major concerns about it other than they want their attorney to review it, and that is what, in the last hour, you had that conversation. MID is having a meeting today at 2 p.m. to have a discussion about moving forward with that. But at the end of the day, if a GSA becomes effective, exclusive, without us having an MOU, it doesn't change very much. It doesn't mean that a bunch of rules are going to happen and then we're on the outside looking in or anything. Nor does, if we were to, quote, file on top of somebody, which has happened in other counties, where the county said, well, we're not quite ready for you to be an exclusive GSA. We want to stop this process. In doing so, we're not going to solve all the issues that need to be solved in the next 2 years. So is it going to hurt if these GSAs become exclusive? No, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't exclude us from negotiating. It doesn't take us away from anything. Do I wish maybe this had taken not happened so quickly and we had more worked out? I do. But there's no doubt about it, when you look at it, I know last time I had a lot of graphics, MOUs and coordination agreements are written into the law. There's no doubt that we need to have either a coordination agreement or an MOU. I'm of the opinion that an MOU has less statutory requirements, so I'd rather play by local rules instead of state rules, right? So I know there's a lot of nervousness out there, and we will hopefully, and I thank the chairman for moving this up so that we can accommodate our friends and also be at MIDA too. We don't think there's going to be a major change if we don't. Now, Doug, I'd like him to weigh in because we've read this thing and worked backwards. So going forward here today, I do appreciate that if the board would give the discretion for either the chairman or myself or both of us to not only execute these agreements, but get a little wiggle room, because let's say the Aliso agreement, it's a little different than the MID agreement, right? And so there is a little wiggle room we want to have in there, but any changes we're allowed to make would be good. But I don't think that filing on top of districts right now will necessarily have any positive outcome or will change the outcome in any way. Mr. Nelson?
Yeah, just on the template itself, in your packet at page 52, talks about what we are actually obligating ourselves to do. And basically, that's to collaborate and cooperate. You may, some of you remember Chowchilla Elementary School District. I'm sorry, Supervisor Rogers is not here. We don't have coordinate in there, which was the...
What page you said that was that on? Oh, 2, I see it now.
The packet, page 52.
Yeah, I found it.
And the template, yeah, it's page 2 of the agreement. Right. And basically, it requires that we collaborate and cooperate, designate a coordinating agency, cooperate in data exchange, and as Norm and I were discussing on land use, the most significant thing is district agrees that its operations as a GSA in areas subject to county land use authority will not conflict with the county's general plan or with the county's exercise of its land use authority. And that's an area which is problematical for GSAs.
Yeah, that's important to us, though.
It's very important to us.
Absolutely, and you don't see Doug in front of this body very often. It is very important to us, and that's why I wanted him here to make sure, first of all, to let you know that we're watching and we're protecting this. I know how protective you are and Doug are of this. But we're in a different world now. We're required to coordinate with, to interact, the word coordination we shouldn't use, to interact with government agencies in a new way, and with agencies we didn't interact with in this way before. I mean, it's just not optional anymore. Yes, sir.
The question that I have, and I'll let Brett chime in and Tom, but if we send these two JSAs up to, which the one's already gone, MID and stuff like that. We send that to state, and we send a one on to the state of the county's JSA on top of that or whatever. Does that give the state saying that you guys aren't working together? And
I can tell you the staff at the state that we talk to doesn't like to hear this, right? So we've inquired as to what the process would be. That didn't make them happy.
So the Chowchilla is the one is actually working out the way with that both of us, both Chowchilla and the county agreed to. And that's how it was started before.
You're absolutely right, Chairman. The staff at DWR, when we discuss how we're doing it here locally and in Chowchilla, we're pursuing one GSA. We're not there yet.
So that's the model.
But the model in the Madera subbasin where we've agreed to have multiple GSAs, as soon as I said that to our person at the state, he goes, "Oh, really?" I mean, even the multiple GSAs under a single GSP is not the preferred model by the state. And quite frankly,
that's where the MOU comes in.
And that's where you have to have an MOU. Even with Chowchilla, let's suppose we had a GSA, we will still have a form of an MOU, but it'll be very different than the Madera subbasin. Yes.
And it makes quite a bit more work for the county, too.
It makes more work for Julia, yes.
But
it's your job.
To play devil's advocate, we passed by resolution to go forward with multiple GSAs with a single GSP.
Yes.
So by us trying to change that, we're actually going against our resolution.
We're not asking to change that, Supervisor, at all.
But that's the discussion is saying that in the Chowchilla subbasin, we're happier and everything's better because it's one GSA. We, on this body right here, we passed a resolution that said that we would go forward with multiple GSAs with a single GSP, right?
In the Madera subbasin, yes, sir.
So that's what we passed as a board. I just want everyone to.
And I just wanted to make comment on it.
Yeah, that's all. Well, I think it was 5-0. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
But with that, and Norm, this was a great presentation. I think it hit perfect note. And in terms of with the land use, that's already in the legislation right now that we retain our land use, correct?
It is. There's a few caveats in there that worry us, and I think, like everything, it's in the details. So if you look at how Fresno County structured their MOUs, they actually hammered out, well, you'll do X in 30 days and Y in 50 days or 45 days. They put these things in there that they put a little more meat on those bones. Those are the things we would work out in an MOU or a coordination agreement going forward. We'll have to have those criteria that says, what is a substantial change to a general plan? How often will we notice you and notice those things, right?
Because through the GSP, when we actually, whoever's the first person in the state of California to write the GSP, maybe it is us, and so we can make the template for everybody. But things that are going to be in that GSP are going to affect our land use or our general plan.
So when you adopt the GSP, it's reciprocal. When you substantially change your general plan, you've got to check with the GSP and the GSAs.
Right.
When you adopt the GSP, or changes to that GSP, they have to send it to the land use agencies, and we have to review it and say, hey, well, this works or doesn't. So it's reciprocal, that part.
So it would still be nice to just, through the MOU, say, we're still the land use agency, you're still the water agency, and when it comes to questions on this within the GSP, we as the land use agency will be the ones implementing it or
I think,
that?
Yeah, I mean, in general, what we want to say regarding land use, and I mean, there's some discussion. I can't see a scenario by which we have an MOU that doesn't have something that addresses land use. That would be my strong recommendation today is, and you have it there, but I mean, I want to be very clear.
Even though it's spelled out in the legislation right now
But it's not clear of how you implement it, and it's not about who has authority, it's how you implement the changes in those authorities. And that's what I would really like to see in an MOU. I would not be comfortable with an MOU that was silent on land use authority, and I don't know what Doug thinks.
Bear in mind also that your land use authority doesn't come from this groundwater sustainability. Right. It's whatever's in existing law. MID, for instance, doesn't have any land use authority. The counties do, cities do. Those are the only agencies that really do have land use authority.
So I guess then my question is, then why are we focusing on it when they don't have land use authority?
Because
everybody's kind of giving them something.
Well, it doesn't.
certain parts of the legislation says when you don't have sustainable yield, it gives them the ability to interfere with our general plan, and we don't know what that means. In other words, one of the questions in this handout, which was very, very nice from DWR on that topic, said that if we have an industrial user, or we have any user, and a GSA reduces their pumping in some way, and you can't either expand that business, you can't permit that business, you can't even maintain the operation of that business, regardless of the business, then you've affected land use. That's the very question that comes out of this. It says, when the GSA restricts pumping, is that an infringement upon land use? And that's an unanswered question, is really what it is. And that's why I say you have to address land use, because you have to address the procedures by which you will respect everybody's sovereign authority. I guess that's how I would say it.
Yeah,
it's iffy.
It's a big issue, believe me. And Doug and I and Julia, we spent a lot of time, especially the last 24 hours, going over this. And that's where we came to the point that we don't see how it will hurt or help by having this process be stopped or slowed down. We can't see the first step. Second step, though, I do, and again, Doug can give his input. I do think the topic of land use needs to be addressed in writing in these agreements.
Yeah. And I don't want to give away our land use authority.
We can't.
Yeah, and so that's not what I'm trying to purport here. I just want to look at, are we bringing this up where it doesn't need to be? And I know there's some areas where it needs to be but are we getting ahead of ourselves, even though the legislation says that we're not giving up our land use yet?
Yeah. Doug?
Simply one of the recitals that they're not going to do anything that will affect our land use authority. That's what I previously quoted to you.
And then number 2. Doug, back a few years ago when the Forest Service wouldn't negotiate with us, we adopted the coordination. Is this kind of that way too on this for the county, that they had to do it? Remember, they started coming to us, and when anytime they were going to close a trail off, that's what it started on. They had to come and present it to us. Is this?
I apologize, my memory's kind of shredded.
And let me address that, though. This law says specifically that, and any GSA, in proposing a rule, will have to send it to us, and they have to work and determine whether or not it's consistent with our general plan.
And we have to declare that, or they just have to do it anyway?
It's in the statute. It's a statutory requirement that we do that.
We had to declare it back then on that other one.
Yeah, we don't have to declare it in this way. There are certain things in the statutory requirements that the water agencies have to declare to us and make a request to us. So there's a whole new a set of rules that require us to interact, the implementation of which it's funny the state does this. Okay, here's a bunch of rules, but you get to implement them locally.
Yeah.
So, thanks a lot, state, right? So, yeah,
figure it out.
We have the ability locally to determine how we're going to do that. In other jurisdictions, I know down south I heard the county's going to be a part of a lot of the GSAs, actually members on those GSAs, which is probably preferable. And I heard in other counties where they've asked the county water, the water districts, do you guys want to be involved in water well permitting? They said, absolutely not. We don't have anything to do with water well permitting, because this law gives them some ability to be involved with the water well permitting process, which is a change for us. So I think that there's a whole lot of unknowns out there. I think today, we're going to hopefully go to MID at the 2 o'clock meeting and hear their input on where they're going to be at on the topic. So that's where we are right now. I think the recommendation would continue to be to develop this language, because what we really come down to at the end of the day, it's a procedure, right? There's new rules, and you got to develop new procedures to implement those rules.
And how we work together locally, that's what it boils down to. And we
I shop at the same Save Mart as the MID people, so yeah.
Anybody, anything from the public? Good discussion. Bring it back to the board.
So one of them says you want approval of the template. The second one is giving authority to the chairman, and the third one is discussion and direction regarding GSA becoming exclusive. Is that what you want us to do?
I guess my recommendation would be to approve the template, giving us the chairman or whoever the chief of development service the wiggle room to implement these, because they're time sensitive, some of them. The second thing would be, I guess, again, the direction I would request would be that we continue to hammer out these details on the procedures by which we'll work together, because what it's coming down to.
Yeah, and then you have the ability or the chairman has the ability to sign that without it
It could be either, it could be or, it's the
Yeah, it
board's
could be
decision.
either way, I think.
It's your decision.
Okay, I make a motion, we pass 6C. Number 1, discuss and consider approval of the template. Number 2, giving authority to the chairman, and if it's really technical or something we need to bring back before he signs, I think it should be in there. And then number 3, give you direction to go ahead with the GSA becoming exclusive.
And I just have, in addition to that, when are we looking to form our own exclusive GSA for the white areas?
Yeah. Excellent, we have a plan for that.
We need a second here on this.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we need a second, then we can go.
And then I want to
That's
make
off
sure
the
that in
question.
this motion that we're not giving any direction to file on top.
No, that's not a part of the motion, sir.
Just wanna make
I
sure.
didn't put that in.
Then you'll have a second.
Okay.
Okay, we have a first by Tom, second by Brett.
Now you can discuss it.
Yeah, for two things, yeah, to file,
Call for the-
oh, I'm sorry.
Well, you can do
Oh,
this.
we can discuss, that's right.
Discussion
This is
after
just,
you
this is
make
just
the motion.
direction, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so two things, yeah, to file on top of someone, we'd have to come back for a public hearing, which you're not scheduling today, and number 2 is, the answer is counties, and we've discussed this, will typically, in the white areas, we will be some of the last to file, because we want to work out all these other GSAs. Like I've said before, we're the local agency of last resort. It's presumed in the law that if nobody else claims an area, it's ours.
We get it.
We get it.
I bet
Local
those are
agency
gonna
of
be
last
the best
resort.
areas, too.
Yeah, oh, it's the best ones, yes.
Those are the cream of the crop right there, I'm sure. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Supervisor Wheeler's motion on 2 was to give the authority to the chairman. He didn't include development services in signing it.
Or chief of development.
I thought you said
Well,
either or.
I said that, the way I tried to explain is that whatever, if there's anything really technical that we need to have, it comes back to us before he gets to sign it.
Yeah.
So it covers all of it.
You're right.
Right.
This says the chairman or.
Well, I put it so it's.
He's changing it. Oh, you want it both? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, so you guys can do what you got to do to bring it to us if it's technical.
On the check.
I just want to make sure we're covered.
Yep, okay.
Is that okay? Is that like that?
Yeah, that's
Ms.
good.
Lawyer?
That's good.
Yes, that clarifies it, but I think your comment helped clarify his intent,
Okay.
which is both,
Yeah,
with
both.
the addition to bring it back as needed.
Okay. Thank you.
Can we have a vote now?
Yeah.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes, with 15%.
Just sit there and hesitate, buddy. I remember in the old days how you used to do that too.
Randy Howe, Columbia Canal Company, Madera County. The one thing that was it was highlighted, but for us here in Madera County, we are already in an impacted basin. And that's why bullseye's on us that we're forming that. Has the staff has put up, we filed, got approved in 15. The MOUs you're talking about has been done. We have worked with Fresno County already on the exchange contractors. Just wanted to highlight that we plan on working with Madera County on the same, but we have, Madera County, a short time frame compared to the rest of the state in order to get this implemented and done. I think the bigger question is how's the land use after the GSA's going to comply with the amount of water in order to balance the groundwater.
Thanks, Randy.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, did we get a vote, or did we, okay, let's go. Anybody else? Okay.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Farinelli?
Yes,
Supervisor Rogers absent. Vote passes 4-0.
thank you.
Thank you, team.
Good discussion, thank you.
Simple
Okay.
discussion.
Let's go to, I guess we haven't done 6C, right? Are you guys okay with finishing this off before lunch, or does anybody have lunch planned?
I only have one with the mott, so. he can
Okay,
wait.
well, you can wait. Okay, 6C?
6C, Public Works Department Capital Improvement Projects Division. Discussion and consideration of entering into an agreement with the High Speed Rail Authority's contractor, Tudor, Perini, Zachary Parsons, for use of county-owned well on Road 29 South as a construction water source, and authorize the Public Works Director to execute the agreement.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Jared Carter with Public Works. Mark Alkayat, the Public Works Director. This item before you is an agreement that was presented to us from the contractor with High Speed Rail. We call them TPZB. What this is for is there is currently a well that is in use or was in use as part of the Avenue 1299 interchange project. And that well is on property that will be relinquished to the county and will become the county's possession. In fact, I just got the relinquishment agreement from Caltrans yesterday. And so what they've asked us to do, and what they're requesting, is to continue to use this well for construction water for high-speed rail construction. The agreement that we've worked on and put together, County Council has reviewed it. Essentially, it gives us full control of the well. If we want to stop it at any time, we can tell them to stop. We've added some measures in there for metering, keeping track of all the use, and also cost that they would pay for the use of water, and they would also pay all the electric bills that are associated with that. So I'm available for any questions if you have any.
I just had one more, sorry, Mr. Chairman, to add to that. Just so I'm clear of what's going on here, this is currently a well Caltrans acquired, and they are currently using it for construction purposes and currently metering and selling it for construction purposes. We are inheriting this well, which is a good thing. Public Works is very happy. The agreed upon amount for this is $1,300 per acre foot. So not only will it pay for the O&M, it will bring in some additional dollars we can use for purchasing surface water and some other program. Not a lot. So I want to let everybody know this is not something new we're doing. We're inheriting this resource, and we're just continuing that relationship. It is very good financially what we're doing. As you know, as things have changed in this world, construction water is very hard to find nowadays. It is, and it's very expensive, and that's why we're charging so much for it. So I just wanted to be clear. We're not establishing a new program. We're inheriting a customer, and we're making them pay quite well. Again, we think it'll be about $7,200 a month that come in.
Wow. Oh. Yeah, and you said the meter and everything. Is that they're going to pay for the meter and everything?
Yeah, the agreement requires them to secure it, so they'll put a fence around it. They'll have to put any kind of lockouts on it. They'll have to install the meter on there so that they can, and then they'll have to also report to us monthly on their use and then pay accordingly based on the agreement.
Okay. Thank you. Good deal.
Public? Any friends from public? A question for you. You know, CAPMC has the water program that fills up the 2,500 gallon tanks out at Farm Eat and different people that they're.
Yes, sir.
Pumps. Are we going to be able to use this water to help them out?
It's not currently. It's not a potable well.
I know we're buying out of the county.
Some of the water we buy does come from out of county, which actually I think is a good thing. The issue with this, the way for us to use that, it would be to convert it to a potable water well. And it's not been there. We could convert it, but it's not currently there right now. No, sir.
So it's a regular.
Right. And actually, in the big picture, we're working on an agreement with the city of Madera through our almond yard for us to have a long-term agreement for water. Yes.
Look at a way to save money.
I love that idea, and I'm going to take a look at how much it costs.
We've during this year when there was some flood flows that were coming through, and we purchased water. Any water that can come in to Madera, we need. I mean, every drop that we can possibly do. And we didn't have a funding source for that. This can, correct me if I'm wrong, this can help pay for that whenever there's.
Yeah, I stuck my neck out for signing off on that 9 acre foot of water. It was about $750, so I probably won't get fired by you guys. But yeah, we didn't have a funding source when that water came, but everybody I talked to said, take the water. Right? We'll find the money, right? So, yeah, it wasn't a significant amount of money, but if this had been a very wet year, we're talking in the terms of thousands of dollars, and it would have been very good. So, yes, this is a new revenue source for us to do for a new program. This is one way of putting it.
High-speed rail, we get to charge quadruple.
We definitely will, yes, sir.
Motion to approve 6C.
Second.
Motion, vote, please.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Farinelli?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers absent. Vote passes 4-0.
6D.
Public Works Department Municipal Services Division Fairmead Liner Fund Budget. 1, discussion and consideration of approval of receipt of unanticipated revenue number 15-115 in the amount of $900,000 derived from the release of reserve for future budgetary issues to be appropriated to general fund cash flow loan. 4 votes required. Discussion and consideration of approval of receipt of unanticipated revenue number 15-114 in the amount of $900,000 derived from Fairmead Landfill Improvement Fund cash flow loan to loan repay general fund. 4 votes required.
Good afternoon, members of the board. Ahmad Al-Kayat again, Public Works. With me is Ms. Nicole Desmond with the CEO's office. What we have here is basically part 2 of transferring funds into the liner fund. We brought the workshop to you last month, and we updated you on the current fiscal year needs for funds and also the future need for capital improvement. This will be for immediate need. The first cash flow came from the Road Mitigation Fund back in November 2015 for $400,000, and this is what is needed for the remainder of this fiscal year, the $900,000. If you have any questions, we're here to answer them.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Bring it back to the board.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a first by Brett, second by Tom.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Farinelli?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers absent. Vote passes 4-0.
Good job.
Good job, guys. Okay, number 8, pending legislation.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Robert Jeffers, legislative assistant for Supervisor Farinelli. I know the microphones are causing some issues today, and I'm particularly quiet, so I'm going to eat this thing. I have 2 items that are agendized for you today. One is an update on a letter your board approved last meeting. It has to deal with the requirements that would put financial campaign contribution limits for local offices. There is an update on this. The legislation has been amended quite a bit. The double standard for prosecution has been eliminated. And according to CSAC, there are abilities now for local governments to have their own ordinances for different campaign level limits or to not have a limit at all. So at this
That's
point,
in there?
that is in there. I was a little fuzzy on myself, so I'm going to be working with CSAC and the other staff to try and get a good understanding of that and see what the county needs to do if we want to pursue that. And then other note, because the state did identify this as a mandate in the Senate, it now has to go back 2/3 majority in the Assembly, and that might kill it because it did not get those votes before. I will keep the board informed at this time. My recommendation to the board is that they keep their opposition stance as there are still issues in regard to local control that your board expressed concern with last time. And the letter has been sent. What is before you is just to ratify. So that does that need a vote, clerk?
Just a thumbs up, right?
It's agendized for a vote, yes.
Oh, okay. I make a motion we approve it. AB
Second.
2533 letter.
Got a first and a second. First from Tom, second from Brett.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Farinelli?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers absent. Vote passes 4-0.
Okay. And the second agendized item is a request from CSAC. There was legislation that was filed by Assembly Member Gatto that was gutted and amended that has to deal with small cell wireless antennas. The new language would preempt local authority by requiring antennas to be permitted in all zones and eliminates public input into qualities like aesthetics or environmental impacts. It would also require cities or counties to lease or license their publicly owned facilities for the installation of this stuff. And worse, it would render size limits unenforceable because any changes that would come forward to these antennas would be completely out of our ability to control. CSAC is not only opposed, but RCRC, urban counties, League of Cities, they're all now fighting this legislation. They're asking their county members to get on board as well.
You know, you should look at the dog report on Gato, see how much money he took from Verizon and AT&T. Do we have to move to approve this?
Second.
Do I have a second? Okay, Brett first, Mac second.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Farinelli?
Yes.
Supervisor Rogers absent. Vote passes 4-0.
Thank you, Robert.
Tracy.
Hi, Amy again. Did Rhonda share with you a letter that I wrote? Did you share with the board the letter that I
I emailed it all out to the chiefs of staffs to
Oh,
review.
okay.
There are supervisors, yes.
Okay, so what has become before us, County Association County Treasurers, is this bill AB 2691, Assemblymember Holden, okay? And what he is proposing is that anybody that qualifies as a senior citizen, 62 years old, or is on SSI, would be able to do monthly installments of their property taxes. That is not thought out, it's got resource problems all over it. We're not set up to send monthly tax bills like Sears, and we just don't have the resources. It would be costly. We would have to completely upgrade our property tax system. Anyway, the problem is it's getting legs because it sounds really good, 62 years old, you get a monthly tax bill. Well, it has problems. Our taxes aren't even known until October, so that doesn't give you 12 months, and everything has to be done in June anyway. Anyway, our association has opposed it. We've sent letters of opposition to the Assembly, and we are requesting all of our boards of supervisors to do the same. And I also provided a sample letter to all of your chiefs of verbiage that would be recommended.
Thank you.
And maybe Robert has something to say.
We just do it. Yeah, Robert, you got something?
Robert?
No, it's not on the agenda, right? It can be a thumbs up.
Right, and Robert's going to talk to us about normally in the past, historically, to do a consensus, it's been members, all 5 supervisors, not members present. So go ahead, Robert. It has the status on this bill and why we want to make an exception to how we've normally done a thumbs up.
Yes, that is correct. Currently, this bill is in its final reading in its final chamber, so timing is of the essence. We'll need to get this letter out probably today. The language is already drafted, but we are asking there's kind of an exception made to the 5-0 consent process.
Thank you.
Thumbs up to it. Absolutely.
Yep. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you, and thank you, Robert. He's been very helpful. And Rhonda.
Thank you, guys. Becky.
Good morning. I just need to make the board aware of a bill, which is SB 450.
What is it?
Which one is it?
SB 450. SB 450 would begin January of 2018, which would allow specified counties to send every registered voter a ballot 28 days before Election Day. It would provide for in-person voting 10 days before Election Day and establish vote centers throughout the county. Our association supports it along with many other organizations. I know that the Speaker and the Pro Tem also support it. I mention it because Madera County is mentioned in the bill. And the reason it's mentioned in the bill is because, I don't know, a few months back, we were sent a survey, and it was asking basic questions about what we could do. Could we have early voting 10 days out, 20 days out? What could we do? So we answered those questions. We felt that if we had to, that we would be able to do certain things. However, we would need money. We would need funding to buy equipment and things of that sort. And so since we said that we could do it, we ended up in the bill, and what it does is it gives us authority in 2018 to do all mail ballot elections under certain conditions. If we don't want to do it, then we have the option to just opt out. In other words, there's no harm, no foul, but we are listed in the bill. I would encourage everybody to take a look at SB 450. It has a lot of moving parts to it. It would require us to have so many vote centers throughout the county per 10,000 voters. So we'd have about 5 vote centers. We would have to create more than that because our community is so spread out.
Right.
And then in addition, we'd have to have drop-off boxes. So we'd have those stationed throughout locations in the county where people could drop off their ballots at that box, similar to a mailbox. And we'd have to have so many per 15,000 registered voters. So, spread out throughout the county. So it does have a lot of provisions. It does open up the opportunity for people to be able to vote, because we do have problems with mail service. Mail service is an issue. People getting out on Election Day is an issue. This gives them the opportunity to go vote before Election Day. We have to keep those centers open from 8 to 5, but we'd have less poll workers, 250. 300 is what we hire on Election Day. So we'd reduce those numbers significantly, and we'd have them for longer days. Less people, longer days. Whether you're for or against the bill, what it's going to do is when we have to buy a new voting system, which is very near, you won't be buying over 100 pieces of equipment for 100 polling locations. You will buy equipment for 10.
Here.
10 or 15 pieces of equipment, right? So it's supposed to save about 15% of election costs. I don't know that, but that's what they've determined thus far.
Vicki, in your opinion, does this make it easier or harder for people to vote?
I think it makes it easier.
That's all
A lot of people don't like voting provisionally. It's out there so that we don't turn people away, and it gives everyone the right to vote, and then we've got to do the research here at the office to determine what those folks were entitled to and what they weren't entitled to vote on. And so this would cut that down or eliminate it, because the equipment that you have out there at those locations are real time. So we'll know if someone has already returned their ballot back to the office, and we would be able to issue them a ballot so that they could vote there. Right now, there's no connection. We don't, you vote provisionally because the records show that that individual voted by mail or were issued a ballot, but nobody knows out in the field whether or not that ballot came back. And so it'll cut that down. We're dealing with about 1,400 provisional ballots right now that were cast on Election Day. So that should cut that down. The opportunity for people to get out and get to the polls is going to be greater because now you've opened it up for 10 days and 2 weekends. So I just needed to let you know that if you read the bill, you'll see Madera in there. I haven't tied us to anything. We're not bound by it. It's just that we said that we could do it if everything was perfect. So.
But you're recommending to just watch this bill for right now until it goes further, because there'll probably be changes in it?
Yeah, I think it's going to be heard on the 29th. It is moving quickly. And I don't know what the board's desire is, but you really do have to take a look at the bill. And
Yeah, Tom.
Yeah. I think it's a great idea. I tell you, get more people to vote, because that's what bugs me the most of anything. So in other words, you mail out 28 days before the election, and then they, like up there, we got 35,000 people, so we'd have 3 of those stations.
we would probably have 3 at least, somewhere in the Oakhurst area, probably North Fork, and then put a 3rd one up. I mean, we're not required to put that many out, right, because it's 10,000 voters, right, would go to this location. But I'd like to cover our county better than we're required to do.
Yeah, I would too. I think it's important.
So we're going to look at the area. So we'll look at the Ranchos and the Bonadelli area, Chowchilla, and open up those vote centers. Most of the counties have a huge population of voting by mail voters, right?
Right.
We have a huge population that doesn't want to go to the polls or can't for whatever reason, right? They can't get out or whatever their reason is. And we're probably about 60% or so now that we have registered.
So is this only go to the registered voters? Or does it
No,
go to everybody?
this is going to require us to send a ballot out to everybody.
Everybody's got an address in Madera County.
Correct.
So,
And P.O. Box.
right, yeah.
Everybody
So-
that's registered to vote.
Correct.
Has an address.
No, but I mean, how about the ones that?
everybody.
Everybody that's registered to vote, isn't that what you just said?
Oh, they got to be registered to vote.
Yeah,
That's
registered
what
to
I
vote.
asked, and you said everybody.
I apologize. No,
That's
they
okay.
have
I
to be
just want to make
registered to
sure.
vote. Yeah.
But this might get some more people to register too. if we're
It
lucky.
will, and because whatever it is that we have out there, they talk about e-poll books, and so it
Yeah.
connects to our election management system, where we have all that database of registered voters. Because it's real time, people would be able to register on election day.
Oh.
Right? So they'd be able to check the database, they know that they're not registered, they're able to get them registered, and then they should be able to be issued a ballot there
So,
on the spot.
and
It changes the way our elections look, for sure.
Yeah.
They used Colorado as the model.
Could you work up with some kind of cost so we'd know for the next meeting, so that, I think it would be very important. I think this would be a great idea to come up with, to get more of our people to get out and vote. It is so important, and if we could have a number that, I'd like us to let the state know that we're for this.
Do you want costs
Well, you
that
said you
show
didn't
what
know
we
how
have
much-
now,
Yeah, what
right,
it's costing
versus
us
what we
now.
anticipate?
Right.
Okay.
Because you said it might be a little bit more, but you didn't know exactly. But if you could maybe come up with some rough guesstimate, I think that would help us make that determination whether we should really push for this, because I really like the idea.
Okay.
I'd like to get everybody, I'd like to get 99% of people to vote.
And I can provide each of you with a copy of what I have.
Okay.
So that you can consider it. I have a document where they've broken the bill out and what it does and why they're supporting it.
Have you heard from CSAC or anything? Are they supporting it?
Oh, let me look here. Secretary of State, California State Association of Counties is a supporter.
Good. We're done with you.
Okay. Well,
All
thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
We'll follow up. Is there any, I thought we had another one? CAO?
Chairman, that's under supervisors and staff reports. It's number 9.
Okay.
We have some more pending legislation, I believe, Chairman.
Do we?
Good afternoon. Tanya Say, Chief Information Officer. I was coming down here to give you a brief update on SB 272, and on my way down here, I realized that the agenda item right now is pending legislation, and this was signed into law in 2015. So I did want to provide an update on where we were at in terms of implementing and being in compliance with SB 272, but if I'm on the wrong spot on the agenda, I can come back another time.
Do it and get it done.
Maybe under number 9, she's a staff member that can provide a report.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I will come back under item 9.
We're on it.
Just stay there. Okay. Thank you. Okay, let's go to the staff report. 9.
Okay, SB 272 was signed into law in 2015, and what it requires is it requires us to create an enterprise system catalog of all of our enterprise applications by July 1st, 2015. And I had received some communication from the CAO's office. I had received some communications from the chairman of the board. And with all that, I wanted to provide a report on where we were at in terms of compliance. We were fortunate enough to sit in on a webinar that was put on by CSAC on June 6th. And it provided a process, really clarified what needed to be done to be in compliance with SB 272. And in addition, it was this really great opportunity in that there was a company called Streamline, and they've created a free tool to help counties be able to answer the questions and be able to know what types of systems fit into your enterprise system catalog. So it was a very useful tool. We've been able to get a draft to County Council. We're going to work with County Council to make sure that there's nothing more we need to include or anything that we need to exclude, and also work on some language in terms of what we need to publish on the website along with our catalog. Can I answer any questions?
Good job. You got it done.
We're on our way. We'll be there by July 1st. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, anything from, yes, CAO?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I did have one item. As your board is aware, I am participating on a committee along with Supervisor Rodriguez, Supervisor Frazier, and Norm Allender to go after the heavy maintenance facility, the high-speed rail. And one of the next things we would like to do is seek letters of support from various legislators and boards, and we wanted to kick off that effort with a letter of support from your board, I guess from the chairman on behalf of the Board of Supervisors, in support of the heavy maintenance facility.
Absolutely. You want a motion or a thumbs up?
You can't take, you can't take formal action because it's not on the agenda, but you can provide some direction.
Yeah, I just give the direction. I think this is so important to Madera County that you should be able to move forward with it.
I second that.
All right. Thank you.
Thumbs up. Very good. Okay. Tom, have anything, Supervisor, besides your...
Just my
you still haven't washed
presidential...
your hands since you
Nope.
shook the hand of
Nope.
President Obama?
And I got all my pictures framed.
Okay, good.
I tried to get autographed and didn't get it done.
Max? Anything?
I've got a lot of them, but I'll pass.
Well, go ahead.
No, that's all right.
Brett?
I'm good.
I will turn mine in like I always do. Okay. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Agenda. I think our agendas have been so efficient and just outstanding. This one here got a little bit out of control this time, but we reeled it back in. And I just want to thank everybody that worked so hard on this agenda.
Very good. Thank you.